20 teams made the trip as Siege came home to Montreal as we look to crown another world champion. Welcome to play day 2 of our finals here at SI 2023 at Place Belle in Montreal. Now, I can hear the crowd. There's a little bit of a rumbling going on behind me. Just a little bit of a rumbling going on. Now, we've seen LATAM Zone W7M claim that coveted spot in the grand final where they will compete on Sunday, but who will they be up against? First, we've got to get through another lower bracket, best of 3. Waiting in the wings is Oxygen up next, but it is time to find out who will make that next big step. Montreal, are we ready? Me too. Let's meet the teams.
We're going to approach this weekend just like any other day. We'll be playing until we stop playing. Astralis is really weird because when we practiced them before the event, they were so bad. So I don't know what's changed, but like now they're looking scary. Don't really know their weakness. I would probably say it's like, again, in their backline players, maybe like not performing as well. I'm going to make light work of you, Astralis. Let's go.
I mean, biggest preparation for the main stage is kind of staying off of like the social medias and making sure you're just keeping it all internal. I mean, G2, you know, they're a great team. They have high energy. They have a nice attacking style that I like to see. You know, Alan, I'm good friends with him, so you know, they're just a good team. Message to G2 is, I can't wait to play you guys. You know, you guys are kind of dogging us in the scrims, but it's time to get that revenge.
These teams want to hear you as they make their way onto the stage. Starting things off, there's just something different about them this year, and we're all here for it. It's G2! A hard-fought victory over a resilient Wolves side ensured they make this walkout here today. You can see him, a 2-time world champion, is sailing this ship. And this ship is full of self-confidence and high expectations. Their opponents, however, will want to end their journey here and now. Underestimate them at your peril. When their lives are on the line, they shoot for the stars. Astralis! As they skip along, I've never seen an entrance quite like it. They have been sparking out big names for fun. And with a player on their roster sensationally making his professional debut, they have an incredible amount of support here in this live crowd. And let's not forget, look at him. Batman. Our 2 teams are all set. They are ready to go. But before we get them into the server, it is now time to cross back over to our wonderful analyst desk. And this is the first time I get to say it. Over to you, the beautiful Jackie.
Ian, you shouldn't have. Everyone's been saying beautiful Ian, though. Am I wrong? Doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much, Ian. But we got a lower bracket semifinal to talk about. Dev, this is the old guard versus the rising stars. Am I wrong? Also, Spiff skipping out here. Like, let's just give him kudos. That was adorable.
It takes a lot of guts to walk out on that stage, and it takes a whole lot more to skip out onto it.
Aww.
Jackie, this is a classic Europe versus North America. We've talked yesterday, I believe it was Jesse, pointed out the home turf advantage we've seen. What continent are we on right now, Jackie?
We're in North America.
I couldn't quite tell. I couldn't quite hear the crowd.
There was one guy.
There was one guy who told
Am I
us.
wrong?
We'll see who they support.
I was like, come on, here we go.
Astralis and G2.
Yeah, but as I was saying, we have some veterans here that we definitely have to highlight, G2. And then I was saying the rookie Spiff, like, talk to me about this.
Yeah, it's we've not seen G2 at this main stage for what, 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years now. It's been a long time. Like you say, I was previously on the roster when they were last at the Invitational in Montreal in 2020. It's not gone well for them. It's been a long old drought for them in terms of winning events, competing for major trophies. They're here. They're in the you can argue it as like a semi-final type day. 2 lower bracket games. Of course, they've not done it the easy way, but they never seem to with this roster.
And I feel holistically, this is a match between the new blood and the old guard.
There it is.
4 years without glory? Y'all cruel. Who put this in?
Look, I was feeling nostalgic. I was a big G2 fan back in the dominant days of 2018, 2019. But where have G2 been since then? Nowhere. It's been a hard 4 years to be a G2 fan.
We challenged this NA crowd and they're saying 1 more year. I think that means 1 more Red Cross. That's what they want. It's been a long old time for this organization. What I will say, it's been great to have them back though, in terms of the team and the organization back on the main stage for Rainbow Six.
And if we're going to talk about G2, we got to talk about Fabian. Am I wrong? He's the talk of the town right now. And he has an impressive record against NA. Am I wrong?
What do you mean impressive record? He dominates NA. I mean, the crowd might not agree with me.
Oh,
here.
NA ain't happy to hear that.
Am I wrong?
Are you wrong? I don't think you are. What's the record, James?
The record as it currently stands for Fabian, I believe, is 16-0.
That is absolutely incredible. He just does not lose to this region. And now we've got 2 records that will go head to head. We've got Fabian's record against NA, and we have got the home advantage record that NA or any home advantage hold at a LAN event as well. One of them has to be broken today.
And on the line for Fabian is to be the first person to win 3 hammers. And talking to Pengu back in the green room, he's obviously got a bit of G2 bias, got a bit of G2 blood in him, but he said, they can't win the final because he can't have more hammers than me.
Yeah, imagine. Pengu will be running up there like, I'll lift at the same time with you.
Now, he'll be coaching Astralis last minute, trying to get them over the line.
Okay, well, from one great coach to another, let's talk about Callout from Astralis. He spoke with Siege GG about their strategy. He said, quote, we've got to start being comfortable taking more risks and let our
nuts hang low.
I'm not reading that.
That's what he said.
And let
That's
our
what
what?
he said. He said, and let our nuts hang low.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I got that. Okay, thoughts on that?
I think we saw a stylistic difference between how they played in groups to how they turned up in playoffs. They really, as soon as they hit the playoff stage, it felt like the big stage for them. They were making the plays. We keep talking about this chaotic energy for Astralis. We keep talking about the clutches and how they keep running it close. That is a product of them having that conversation, that very direct and honest conversation that they had with each other about groups were not good for us. We need to improve. And if that means our nuts hanging low, that means our nuts hanging low.
And it takes a lot to have that much self-belief. These guys were talking about it in the interview. Doki said, we destroyed them in scrims in the lead up to this event during the practice for the group stage. Astralis only won a single game in groups. And yet they've made it to the top 4 at the Six Invitational. They say that we know how to beat them. We know that we can do it. And they haven't let any of these setbacks get in their way.
Okay, so Callout also said in that article, we know how to beat them. Reading that literally gives me chills. I mean, he's doing something right because Astralis right now, they're like the clutch team, Dev.
They're not like the clutch team. They literally are the clutch team.
Oh, good.
Have a look at this. Clutches per map, 1.13. Nobody can touch them. Nobody in the tournament has as many clutches as Astralis, and it comes down to a couple of things.
I actually think that would even go higher should you do that just per maps for playoffs.
Yeah.
But it does come down to a couple of things. They have the clutch king in J90 in terms of, like, he has got the most clutches out of anybody in the Six Invitational, not just at this event, ever. Like, this guy is on fire when it comes up in those big moments, and he needs to bring a clutch out of the bag.
J90 has been unstoppable this event. 9 clutches. It feels like every single game he puts the team on his back in those tight scenarios. And I believe it was Leon from Koi who tweeted out, look, at the end of the day, we feel like strategically we won that map. We played our best Siege. We just lost a couple of clutches. And that is the difference between winning a hammer and going home early.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the energy of these teams. Alamau came out here and was like hyping up the crowd before Ian was, you know, just like screaming at people. So talk to me about G2's energy and their mentality.
Well, Alamau seems well up for it this whole event. Like you say, he was out here hyping up the crowd before we were live. He was out here shouting at Astralis before we were live.
And
he's been doing it the whole event. And, you know, just a word on him, actually, and his energy is one thing that I want to talk about, is that he has done a lot of growing up from the Alamau that we was being told about 6 months ago when he was on a team with Prano and with Citizen where he wasn't the main agile, where it wasn't his vision. He's had to do a lot of growing up to become essentially the team captain of this roster. And he adds their energy as well. He is a huge component in this G2 team and a huge reason behind their success.
And despite Alamau not being the most experienced player on the team and being a relatively new addition to players like Virtue, who have been around since 2020, Alamau is the only one on this roster to have won an international trophy. With Team 1, he was the champion in Mexico in 2021.
And that was a dream run as well.
It was.
They were nearly going out, right?
And now Alamau is a leadership figure on the team. But it seems like you guys actually want to hear about Astralis.
Well, it's interesting because Iconic, cool as a cucumber. We see Spiff skipping out here. What did the coach say again? They're just going to let what all hang out today?
They're going to let their nuts hang low, Jackie.
No.
How many times do you want me to say this on a broadcast? Oh, it's
you cancelled.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I think
Definitely a different dynamic with them, for sure.
100%. These guys are rising stars, as we call them, and they are not letting up here on the big stage. We thought perhaps the pressure would get to them, but being able to say things like that, being able to come out onto a debut at a Six Invitational like this, it is something different.
All right, I believe we are ready to move into the map ban phase and get that information up on the screen. So just bear with us as we try to do that really quickly. And we're getting our players in their seats, getting everything coordinated. All right, here it is, gentlemen. What do you think?
so. I expected that G2 would ban away Border and Bank. I think it's the two pretty good maps for Astralis, and obviously G2 not huge fans of, well, especially Border, but Bank they're respecting the Astralis. Now, here comes the interesting bit for Astralis. In most of their playoff games, or most of their best of threes, Astralis have banned away Clubhouse and Chalet. They've allowed them through. They had to know that if they allowed Chalet through, G2 was picking it, because the preference for G2 is a long-term preference on that map. G2 would have known, again, theme park is pretty much one of the #1 preferences for Astralis, leaving that open. We would always head there, but G2 like that as well. Now, the decider map of Villa, we've got away and taken away the low preferences for each team, and we're left with Villa, which in this tournament is a middle preference. It's like 5th preference for both of these teams. So the whole veto feels very, I would say, scripted. Both teams get a map that they like, but the Chalet, for me, is the big one because it was Astralis' permaban.
I'm really interested by this, Fresh, because while it does seem somewhat scripted, I do wonder the mentality for Astralis here. As you said, not banning their most common bans in Chalet and Club left it wide open for G2 to pick, and I think perhaps there was a bit of a gamble, because with Chalet, right, G2 obviously historically highly prefer that map, but the only time they've actually played it at SI, they lost it to Wolves 8-7.
Yeah, and I think that we saw yesterday is that when G2 played Wolves yesterday, Wolves came with a very, very specific...
Well, they can let you speak, maybe not.
We'll leave the copy. Wolves came with a very...
We're quiet. We're like, oh, okay. Do your thing.
Yesterday, Wolves came with a very specific counter-analysis plan for G2, because G2 seemingly don't change a lot on the day-to-day ready for their opponent. If Astralis have identified a win condition in that game that G2 played against Wolves, then I am absolutely sure that there is a specific reason. You don't leave a permaban open unless you have a very specific plan for an opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we do end up getting to map 3 of Villa, you mentioned it briefly there, it's a fairly highly banned map for both of the teams at SI so far. But if you look holistically, G2 are actually on a 4-match winning streak on this game, and Astralis on the flip side stunned everybody when they took down BDS 7-5 on Villa. And so I do feel like this is a sleeper map, a potentially highly strong pick for both of these teams should we get to that decider.
It's feeling like it's going to come down to Chalet, right? Because Chalet is the big unknown. We know that both like theme park. We know that Villa's a mid-map for both teams in terms of preference, but good in terms of results. So it's all about this question about, can Astralis upset G2 on Chalet? I think that will be the determination. It's Astralis, so we're probably going to head to 3 maps regardless. Probably 15 rounds in the final of the 3rd map. But yeah, I think that's the big win condition, is whether Astralis can get over the line on G2's map pick on Villa.
All right, it's prediction time. Talk to me, gentlemen. Who wants to be in the hot seat first?
Oh, you're going to put me in that. Stick me in that.
Is this a G2 shill I see right here?
No. Oh, no.
I don't win. I don't win whichever way I go here because, for one, I am known pretty much across the UL as the G2 hater because I hold them to such high regard.
Yeah.
But also, I'm going for G2, so I'm going against the NA crowd as well. I think G2, and I keep saying this about Astralis, I've wrote them off every single prediction so far in this lower bracket, and I feel like they are cats using up their 9 lives. And I do think that ends today with G2.
Look, Jackie, for me, there were no two ways about it. At the end of the stage 2 of playoffs, I'd finished talking about the G2 M80 game where G2 won that. And I said, well, with M80 going down, that means that after Astralis get knocked out by BDS, it's only going to be Oxygen representing NA. And I looked a bit silly after that. So I'm never going to second guess Astralis again. I had to lock them in for this game.
All right, well, are we ready? I need this crowd to get super amped. Okay, can some of you get on your feet for me? Can people get on their feet? Let's go, come on. Oh, I love it. I love it. It is absolutely electric in here. Love the atmosphere. Well, without further ado, Penguin and Tiro, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you so much to the crowd for showing some energy at this matchup. For Fabian, he is staking an incredible streak that dates back half a decade against a team that will not die in Astralis.
Yeah, and you know what Fabian had to say about it before the game? He said, it's gonna be easy. But knowing Astralis, it will never be easy to take them down because they're still alive in this tournament despite all the odds being against them.
You know what else he said?
What?
He said that he will always be ahead of you because he's going to win his 3rd hammer and you're going to be stuck at 2.
Yeah, and the confidence in Fabian is always there, but I have to say, Fabian, this one might be a bit out of your level because Astralis, they look like the better team so far.
He's just playing to the crowd. He played for G2. He doesn't believe that.
All right, come on. G2's always got the magic in the Milan events. It's invitationals. Anything can happen.
How quickly you turn your allegiance.
How quickly the crowd turns as well, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Let's get ready to go on to Chalet for Astralis versus G2. Winner has a date with OXG.
Oh.
If G2 want to make it to the grand finals, Fabian's streak against this region will need to remain perfect. It's going to be a long run for whoever wins this match.
Oh, yeah. 2 best-of-3s in a single day as well. Ben's going out, Lion targeted by G2, Ying from Astralis, pretty normal stuff so far. Defenders coming out, it's going to be the Valkyrie. That information game is so prevalent at this event. When Valkyrie's open, always played, and more often than not, just always banned out. No team wants to deal with that. Woo! Solace, again, Astralis, saw them yesterday. Really utilizing this operator on border against Core to great effect. Kept them in those rounds. G2, well, they remove it from play. Chalet can quickly become a bloodbath of a map. And Jack said on the desk, fresh that is, that G2 don't really change a lot of things around, going from, you know, opponent to opponent. And Fabian's mentality as a player, and I'm sure it's the same as a coach, is that you keep the macro the same. The overall picture, the strategy is similar. You change up the micros. The small, every single round adjustments from individual players, that's where G2 is going to be looking at strategically to change up from opponent to opponent.
All right, looking at this defender lineup, nothing really stands out to me here. It's not unusual to see a Warden anymore. Nick, he is a very high prevalence rate. Frost on Chalet is about as meta as you're going to get, whether you want those frost mats to be near the bomb site or whether you want them off site.
10 seconds to go.
Forrest, I'm looking at you. 5 seconds, don't disappoint me.
He's locked in the blitz.
Yep, there it is.
How is this gonna work?
Objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
That's what I'm wondering as well. I mean, this is a kitchen dining bomb site. There's no easy access points for the attackers, and when you pair a Nomad with a Blitz, it makes me question, are we going fast or are we going to be going slow? Well, Astralis, they want the map control, that's very evident. Spawning on library side, going to the roof, starting to establish these entry points. I think this Blitz is more of an execute-oriented operator later in the round, perhaps.
The only smokes that are on the board are in the hands of Forest Blitz, so don't have to worry too much if you're Ali Mao. You know exactly where those two are going to go down, and that's about it. Lots of grenades, though. Unsurprising to see the joint slam. Oh my goodness, how on earth? Virtue gets caught with his pants down inside of the bathroom, and he's as good as gone to Iconic. Nice start from Astralis, and now Iconic's gonna get one as well to Forests. Ali Mao is down, they're in the middle of the bomb site. What is happening?
What?
This is the tempo that you know they need to set. Doki gets Ali Mao back up, but then he gets finished off. Doki in a 1v5 with Diffuser going down, Logic Bombs going off. Will herald Doki getting back to the bomb site. The Diffuser's gonna run away. What is this beginning from Astralis?
So dominant.
They did the same thing against Koi. They want to catch you off guard. Now there's no warning. It's a perfect time for the smokes to come out. Doki ensures it won't be a flawless round. But this is a big ask. 4 more kills on the board for Doki. Will he get any of them whatsoever? Astralis in the post plant using drones, still maintaining intel. Nice read by Doki. Takes down Iconic. Forest low on HP as well. Doki caught in a crossfire though, can't get into the bomb site. Stunner of a first round for Astralis.
It's too early in the morning to be rushing like that. It's 11:07 a.m. local time, and Astralis, they don't give any map control for G2 despite them being the defending team. You see it.
How does Forest do
hesitation.
that? How does he do that?
Just goes for it. The trades on site are there. 2v1 constantly flashbang goes out. 0 chance for G2 to fight back anywhere on the map. What a great start for Astralis.
This is exactly what they did against Koi on Koi's map of Bank, map #1 yesterday. Astralis gets in, they get in very quickly, they set the tempo. They know that they want to knock you off of your stride. The one thing that I will question about G2 through this entire matchup is that mental. And it was something that the talent discussed yesterday when going over expectations of this best of 3. G2's mental has had some issues before. Being able to keep yourself in the game and being able to reset when things go really bad. You saw Fabian finally break, what was it, during one of the days of the group stage?
Yeah.
Well,
5 seconds left before
how long until G2, if Astralis keeps playing this way, how long until G2 finds themselves in a position
locate a bomb and
where mentally they're just not in this game? Well, they're bouncing back quite well. Ali Mao will go for a spawn peek right now, looking through balcony window. Is he gonna get one? Doesn't look it. But Doki does.
Yeah.
The Clutch Master Supreme of Astralis and J90 is down for the count. Looked like Benja might have gone for a spawn peek too as he takes some damage before maneuvering back upstairs to library.
This is G2 trying to take back control from what they had lost in that previous round. That is the mentality that Fabian has been whispering in the ears, or yelling rather, onto this team. If someone takes control away from you, you need to get it back. Do not let them set the pace for too long because you start losing so many rounds, start doubting yourself, and confidence is king in these rounds.
Speaking of the king, spotted as the Nook will emerge over by Trophy. Taking some damage. Astralis nowhere near that same level of interest in getting in the building. Comparison to round #1. They've got lots of drones left. They've only lost 1 so far. So it's not a matter of poor information. Maybe just they can't follow up on it the way that they want yet.
Yeah, waiting for Iconic to make an opening, playing cautiously so far. We saw Iconic on the Nuke against Koi, always finding value every single round, just waiting for his teammates to make some noise.
And there's Iconic to equalize. Virtue goes down to one of those nades. Iconic has control, and oh my, he sees another body, but Benja Master. The answer to G2's problems. Astralis keeps it close. 2 picks, 1 on Repel. Blur inside of the bomb site. Holding down the fort from Astralis. Doki was roaming. Can he get back? Consolidate? There goes a logic bomb, and Astralis hears both of the phones start to ring out.
Yeah, if Spiff can get into position, he can just plant for free. There's no bomb deny.
That's exactly what's happening. Diffuser at the halfway mark for Spiff. Shuttle on Repel. He's continuing the hard work he put in yesterday. Blur finds himself at a post plant inside of office. One player from Astralis out on the balcony. Blur has no idea where they are at the moment. Astralis will exhibit the same level of patience, allowing G2 to walk into their crossfire. Spiff is credited with the final kill. Astralis move up 2-0.
I just want to point out that Astralis have only played Chalet a single time with Spiff on the roster. And I mean, Spiff just joined, so having even played it a single time is something. But it's a 2-7 loss against OXG in SCS, that tier 2/tier 3 league. Now, of course, OXG, they're a tier 1 team. They're here at this event as well to be up next for the winner of this matchup. But Astralis, they don't have a lot of experience in, competitive play on Chalet with Spiff. And a lot of people are questioning, G2 made a great move picking this map, but in the first 2 rounds, Astralis clearly prepped and ready for this. They have the answers every single time so far.
Yep. A valiant start from Astralis so far. I always enjoy a good Chalet for a number of reasons. It does fluctuate between being friendly to the attackers, as you see so far, and, well, being a more defender-sided map, like pretty much every single map that we have at this point.
Yeah.
If you look at the 3 maps that we are playing today, we might only need 2 of them. Not entirely certain that Villa will come into play.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
But these are middle maps. None of them are played all that regularly, right? They were played Chalet, played 16 times so far. Theme Park played 17.
I was going to say, between G2 and Astralis, they've played half of those games, I think, between each other. They both love the map.
Villa, the lowest played map in dead last.
Okay.
As for Chalet, 57% of all rounds won by the defenders. That's a common refrain. Every single map having the distinction of being defender-sided at the moment. The only bomb site that breaks in favor of the attackers is Bar Gaming, and that's by 51 to 49% of all rounds won. So basically the same amount of rounds won by both sides. Pretty remarkable feat. So for Astralis, if you look at those numbers, same as we said yesterday on the match, you're looking at getting maybe 2 rounds on attack. Astralis have already hit that mark.
Astralis opened up the main breach on this snowmobile wall towards the bomb site, now hitting the backside instead. If these switch to get the mirror windows, yep, good value.
They know exactly where Blur is. Forrest gets the ping, but still loses the engagement either way. J90 has the follow-up. Now it's Spiff to just walk in, but they don't drone out the hatch. Benjamaster perched on that hatch, just staring down intently. Excellently done. Astralis being a bit too sloppy, and G2 are shutting them down every step of the way, leaving J90 in a 1v3. Half of the round still left to play. Excellently done by G2 to shut down an Astralis rush into the bomb site. Have to be concerned with those frost mats that are on the board. That's why you see Astralis shooting down every time they go for a vault on in.
Yeah, J90, he's clutched many times. But a 1v3 on a basement defense, almost impossible.
Almost.
It's always.
Almost isn't a certainty though, Nick.
It's not. It's just find the first one. That's the hardest part. Get into that 1v2 and it becomes a lot easier for him. He's fishing.
Doesn't have very much information. He has lots of time. They can hear him. Every time he leans, every time he moves, it's sound that's being picked up.
Look at that crossfire.
Yeah, he's doomed. Benjamaster makes it look so easy. There was no way out for J90 whatsoever. G2's first round comes where they barely break a sweat.
And look good for Astralis. They got the mirror window, they got side presence, but they completely missed the fact that G2 was playing up above inside of kitchen dining. They had the vertical control, the hatch from Benjamaster, shutting down that initial side push. And the only kill they really got was J90 on the outside of the map, getting a deep pick onto Pillar. It's a great follow-up by Spiff, but again, Benji on the hatch shuts it down immediately. And it's just these 1v1s going to favor of G2.
They really just did walk in, and none of them really seemed that eager to take an engagement. They got caught out every time looking the wrong way. So G2 sit pretty after that very first successful round. Back down to kitchen they're gonna go, Nick. The bomb site that Astralis set quite a tempo, and An unsustainable tempo, I would argue, for this series.
Well, certainly not sustainable. You can't blitz rush every single round.
10 seconds left before
I mean, you could try.
You could absolutely try.
Certainly be fun to watch and witness, but the issue with these like very fast tempo plays is that once it gets figured out, well, when the opponent is ready for it, the success rate goes down significantly. And now G2 bring out the Capcan, for example. It's a small detail, but if you go too fast, those Capcan traps will do the work for you. You might even have to fire many bullets in the round because Capcan traps get 2 kills easily.
Look at Benja lying on the ground.
He's waiting for that drone. It ain't coming though. Oh, actually C4 in hand. Okay.
It's a right read. How many teams decide to enter through that unprotected, garage door?
Speaking of.
Iconic. He hops in, gets picked back up. Oh!
I think
Down goes
got him.
Iconic. Yeah, the adrenal surge was able to get him back up. Forests being a huge help to his team, but G2 just hitting their shots. They suffer their first casualty to Forest, but that's 2 uncontested kills. Put you in that 5v3. Becomes a 4v3.
Iconic jump in the window, shooting what he thought was going to be a frost map down, below the window. But it was actually 2 Capcan traps on the window instead, so the mind game's working out, and that's Nuke off the board. That means Astralis, one of their win conditions, now removed from play. They have to try and go into the execute now, but they have no heart breach. They have to look for kills. Now, there are soft walls leading to the bomb site itself. They do have a chance to fight this through the bomb site walls, but they have no easy or really good entry points. They're stuck just fighting basic doorways.
Yeah, if you're going to go into a lineup like this, where you're not going to bring any hard destruction, you got to win your duels. And they're just not doing it. G2 are as formidable as ever in all of these engagements, and they make it look so easy again. 2 in a row for G2.
A slow start for Virtue, but he gets 2 in the round. Almost going neutral now. He's 2 and 3 in that scoreline. It's been remarkable this tournament so far. There it is.
I mean, that was really an engagement Virtue should not have won either of them, or actually.
When Virtue got picked up all the way from Australia to join this G2 roster to make a new quote-unquote super team 3 years back, he was picked up as one of the, incredibly well-talented mechanical Ashe players who would just kill his way through the server. And ever since joining the European scene, Virtue has, arguably by my expectations of him, not really fully lived up to the Australian killing machine that he once was. And I think at this event, at Invitational 2023, this is the closest we've seen to Virtue being back in peak form since. And it's one of the key differences in G2. This is an aggressive, confident Virtue, taking gunfights, winning most of them. And it's Virtue, Benjamaster, and Doki really leading this team as a spearhead, the trio. While Alama and Blur, they take more of a backseat, play the flex operators, hold down the bomb side, play the middle ground, allowing Doki to be an absolute bully towards his opponents every single game.
That whole Fnatic roster that Virtue was on was a massive what-if as well, Nick.
Certainly.
When you look at that team and the success that they had, Virtue leaving might not have been the death knell that we thought it would be right away, but it certainly led to some serious struggles that I think most people could credibly argue Fnatic never recovered from. And Virtue coming over to G2 was put into roles that might not have been best suited for him. And I think that was the argument that most people seem to have, was that Virtue was not allowed to be Virtue. But the changes to G2, a coaching change obviously, changes to these roles, it's allowed him to be a bit of a freer player. And G2 are so damn good all through these 3 last rounds. First 2 picks, but Astralis answers back. G2 are covering the map so well. Astralis can't do anything.
I mean, this defense is a classic W7M style. They're everywhere, soft wall, long length aside, rotating around with aggression. The shot is not gonna hit the side instead.
Why not? A 2v3, you got half the round to go, but Shuttle's looking the wrong way, distracted by something. No logic bombs for J90. Selma still available. Final logic bomb had just gone out. It'll end in just a moment. There's a toxic gas. It's gonna start choking J90. He doesn't seem to show any urgency as the diffuser goes down, pulling out the sidearm, a tight angle there. He gets picked away by Benja. Now it's Shuttle after he's gotten that diffuser down. G2 looking to grab the lead after Astralis' first 2 strong rounds. What can they muster with Shuttle at the lead? Nothing. Diffuser easy to top off. G2 phenomenal through 3 rounds.
Yeah, and in the 3 versus 2, the discipline again. If you go back 3 months and look at this roster, they look like a disorganized mess that cannot play together. They almost let Astralis plant knowing that the retake favors them in that 3 versus 2 scenario. Toxic Babe goes out, does a ton of damage. They separate the 2 members of Astralis outside the breach and deep inside the bomb side. And then the double swings come out, the 2v1s, the 3v1s. They don't really go for the defuse. They just seek out the kill, securing the round with a guarantee. Astralis struggling to maintain the tempo against the aggression from G2. The fans might keep them in it, but Astralis gonna show up in the server as well. The crowd can't do all the work.
I'm sure Astralis knows, but I'm also sure they don't care about this streak that Fabian is on.
No.
15-0 against North America, defeating M80, defeating Excellence, Rogue, TSM, Dark Zero, Reciprocity twice, Space Station twice, the old North American Elevate roster twice, and a fan favorite who always seem to get the wrong side of Fabian's aggression, Evil Geniuses, 4 times losing to Fabian.
Yeah.
Can
That's
this
a record.
scrappy Astralis team be the one to finally give Fabian, for the first time in his almost 8-year-long career, a loss to North America? I mean, they're on this miracle run. We've talked about it.
I was at the gym last night about 11:30 while prepping for the game, and I actually met Callout, the coach of Astralis down there, as I was leaving. And he was like, you know, against you2 tomorrow, we're gonna approach it differently than against Koi. We're prepared, we're ready. The players are getting rest right now, and they were confident in this matchup. They showed in the first 2 rounds, but Astralis now suddenly struggling to show themselves up in this server with aggression, with confidence, and taking control.
Oh, that's not a struggle, though, for Spiff. He's on the fuse. He walks in, and he vaporizes Doki by library door. Spiff don't whiff.
Spiff don't whiff.
2 unconventional operators emerging in both of these teams' hands. Thorn's pick rate quite low, though we have seen the Irish operator a couple times here at the event. That fuse by Spiff is also a very intriguing choice.
It's great if you get the map control. I mean, you can do so much destruction, vertically speaking. And you see there Virtue running for his dear life, taking so much damage from the fuse pucks.
And down he goes! A cluster charge kill, ladies and gentlemen. Friends and folks, what an incredible play. We don't see those that often at all. It's cause for celebration.
The entire floor is broken on open. That means the entire bomb site is so vulnerable.
And that's exactly what they wanted. They're not using this fuse for kills. They're using the fuse to displace these players from G2, stripping away the benefit that they have playing on that bottom floor. All the while this has happened, there's just a moment left. Forrest is down for the count. Shuttle will join. G2 has tied it into a 2v2. But the advantage goes back to Astralis. Nitro Cell goes in. What a miracle play by Spiff to shoot it out of the air. Now it's Blur with sidearm in hand, trapped inside a blue. Spiff with the diffuser. Can Blur isolate these players? He's got a read on one of them. Spiff going for the plant. Blur now Nitro Cell. Beautiful shot onto J90. And now looks for more, but his luck runs out. 3-3 the first half.
With something like this, like Spiff's first ever tournament, right? The Six Invitationals goes down to the, opening kill to start things off, ends the round in a 1 versus 1 against Blur.
That is just that's a smart play by what we saw.
Massive.
So many people are expecting a fuse to be used on the bomb site, either to move you out of position or to try to get kills. but using the fuse to destroy the safety from another floor is something we don't see all that often.
The reason why it's so impactful is because like G2 had full dining control. Benjamaster was in there, so he cannot go into fireplace itself, but the fuse works from a floor above. It's actually, it's genius. To tie things up, 3-3. A back and forth. Of course, Astralis getting the first 2 rounds, but G2 3 in a row. And Astralis to tie things up.
10 seconds left.
Diffuser planted successfully for Astralis 4 times in that first half. An impressive feat on a map that bends quite heavily towards the defense. As was noted by us in the first couple rounds here, the win condition for Astralis, given the way that Chalet plays, is 2 rounds. Astralis have held G2 on G2's map, and with G2 starting on the favorable side to a 3-3 first half. And while that doesn't get us any closer to a conclusion, it's still a massive win for the attackers. Now Astralis should, if that thinking continues to apply, have this map working in their favor from here until potentially overtime.
See, the priority for Alama on the Twitch is to deny information, the motion detectors in the main door, all the default cameras inside the building, keep Astralis guessing as to where the attacker members will be coming from, because there is no real information on the board. There's a single bulletproof camera, that's it. But Benja
walks right in, a second kill within his clutches just to the right of him.
11 kills, by the way.
What was the tweet? People saying Citizen was the problem, but not saying that I was the solution. The solution seems to be getting an awful lot of kills. Taken out by the gas and J90, but G2 still in a 4v3. Shuttle on the side of the bomb site. There goes a Rotero drone to push Iconic out of this position, but as a Doc, as long as he's not dead, he can get himself right back up. Shuttle trying to escape the wrath of Doki, can't do it. Iconic, you need to be very careful of that Claymore. It's an all-out brawl, and it's Iconic in a 1v2. Technically a 1v3, but Blur won't have any influence unless he can be retrieved. He will be. Ali Mao on the other side of the equation from Benja's 11 kills, and Iconic doesn't look to Virtue on his left. G2 take the lead right back.
I have to say, G2, they're covering all the right angles. Going for the revive is risky, but not if Virtue's holding the blue stairs. A camera holding the fireplace itself meant that G2 could somewhat locate where Iconic might be flanking from. And I mean, Benji going in, getting 2 kills as a single member with no backup up that blue staircase. It just opens things up tremendously for the attacking side. J90 doing his very best to hold on strong top floor. But everyone else had to leave him early on. They dropped down towards the bomb site because Shuttle, he died as well. That meant nobody was near the side to hold it. Iconic got to drop and take that control back.
I mean, there's half the round to go, so I don't think it's a bad decision to not suspect somebody to be on that window.
No,
right?
it's not, but
just because there's a minute and a half left and you're in a 1v3 doesn't mean that G2 are going to completely break the mold. That's a very safe flank spot to hold, as we get to see. The deployable shield in front allows a little bit of a hindrance up the stairs of Library.
10 seconds to
And if you could sit on that window, allowing you a wide angle into the most important part of that top floor, which is Library, overlooking the bar gaming bomb sites. In a 1v3, and you're the 3, you're going to do that.
yeah, absolutely.
Iconic should have had some semblance of game sense to know that there could have still been a player there and at least tried to contest it instead. He was too fixated on Library and he picked the wrong way to look.
I don't doubt him though. It's so hard with how G2 are attacking because they are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And you have to always question, are they playing the way you're supposed to be playing? Or are they just running at us like crazy people that are hungry for rounds? Iconic himself getting active on the map in the basement, roaming on that Legion, has a spare impact to open up any wall at his disposal.
The jump in for Doki will be greeted by Spiff, who apparently don't whiff. But Spiff's in a vulnerable position, and Benjik might have just found a way in over top of the bomb site, do some serious damage here. Benj has been phenomenal, but Spiff is better in that duel. Doki sees one, takes him down. That's 2 picks for G2. They grab the advantage right back. Even though they didn't get that first pick, doesn't matter. They've got the numbers now.
Oh. Doki cutting it close. Iconic used that spare impact grenade, has to run back, does not find the kill. And because of that, Astralis are down a number in man advantage. Good drone work from G2, finding Iconic once more down since that bar. Didn't know his whereabouts. He thinks he's stuck because of that fireplace double door, but he's actually not.
This is a kitchen defense.
Yeah.
Shuttle. Nice, easy shot onto Blur. Suffers some damage, but Doki is just an assassin upstairs. 10 kills, just trailing Benjamaster. These 2 superstars from G2 combining for 21 frags. That is just phenomenal stuff. 2v2, G2's lost the advantage. Ali Mao was able to retrieve the diffuser from above.
It's a fine dance right now with J9O on the bomb side and Iconic on their own, but he's gonna fall back towards that dining hallway. They're gonna be 2 on side and 2 above. It's anyone's round. G2, of course, had to make the first move. Their Terror Drone's going out for info. Maybe a hatch drop.
There's gonna be a hatch drop, and the other player from G2 of Doki was heading down those trophy stairs. We've got marks on him. Doki might know. Is there a rotate? No. Just a couple punch holes. Tense moments, final 20 seconds. Sidearm out, Ali Mao swinging in the wind.
Ali Mao
losing the duel. Astralis wins both of those gunfights. We are tied up yet again.
I don't know about the pistol in that scenario. He goes for it, sure. But Astralis, again, they played tight in 2 versus 2. They had to make that mid-round decision. Does Iconic go for the flank, fighting 1 versus 2, and leave J9O on the bomb site alone? Or just play the 2v2 on site, play that crossfire? They make the right choice.
I mean, what do you do in that situation? You have to drop. That's the issue with this bomb site.
That is
cleared out above, okay, great. But 2 of the most vulnerable places that you will ever find yourself is retaking stairs up to a bomb site and dropping through a hatch down to a bomb site. It's rough.
It sucks, to put it simply.
Doesn't need to be fancifully worded.
No.
It sucks.
It sucks. Staircases, hatch drops, vaulting in the window as well, especially on a map like Chalet where Frost is often played. Not by Astralis though. They want better guns and more map dynamics, be able to play across and below. The castle, great operator, can deny lines of sight, fortify both the bomb site as well as the roam, get those motion detectors.
Virtue almost losing his head to J9O. Great eyesight. I certainly couldn't have seen that. You and I both wear glasses. J9O used to, right? And I think he got... can I say the name? Can I say LASIK? Do we have a competing sponsor?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He got super eyesight out of nowhere, apparently. Something. Isn't that a myth? Like, if you eat carrots, you start seeing better? Like
yeah, I think that's mostly nonsense.
Yeah, I think so.
Hold on a second here. Sledgehammer out, gone 6. Amaru, they're going to try to break in as quickly as they can. It works out. 2 very fast kills from G2. And it's a supernova in the hands of Blur. Diffuser going down. Doki, the one guiding it into the bomb site. Astralis now will have to fight in a post plan as Doki sits over top of it. He and Virtue are so low on HP, but even with a fraction of it, they can still fight back, just as Forrest can. But in a 1v3, these are tough times. Unable to make it through the rotate. Wow. Doki getting the very final call. 5-4, these teams again just going back and forth, and Astralis have called their timeout.
That was a premeditated attack by G2. Blur even had the shotgun to make that close quarter engagement even more in his favor. Doki eating half of his own health bar by grenading the window for a fast jump in. It was a full rush commitment by G2 that could not be stopped by Astralis. They simply were too far off the bomb site and not prepared for it. Blur even gets the Supernova Silencer kill to end things off.
Well, we talked about the mental potentially being chalked after those first 2 rough rounds for G2, but doesn't seem to be the case.
No.
Astralis might have called the timeout, but you can see our good friend Carl talking it through. Carl!
Oh. has had statistically a pretty weak tournament so far. But honestly, I'm pretty certain it's due to the role changes in G2 allowing other members to step up, right? Alama, when he first got picked up from that one roster, was known as the superstar smoke buck player that will just kill everybody. And then, again, just like Virtue coming to Europe, it didn't really work all that well. But Alama finding success on the flex support roles, like the Dokkaebi, playing flash with his teammates, playing the floors, etc., and just allowing other members, like Benja, like Doki, to take full control on the opening engagements. And honestly, it's not the Alama that people expected by any means, but it's a really good look on him, and even more importantly so, the team he's playing for looks better off as well.
Yesterday in their matchup against Koi, and what has become a trend for most teams here at the Six Invitational, is that you take a timeout, you immediately win the next round. It's almost a given at this point.
Yeah.
5 of the 6 times the timeout was taken in the Koi Astralis match yesterday. That's exactly what happened. Astralis, on their 3rd timeout, on that 3rd map, didn't win the immediate next round, but the round after that. Also, Big still holds. Astralis should win this round, go to a 5-5, and would you be surprised to know it, but Astralis would take us to all 12 rounds? How peculiar.
That's almost guaranteed to happen. One thing that happened exactly like this against Koi is that after that tactical timeout from Callout, Forward starts playing Ela. Same thing on Oregon yesterday, same thing now on Chalet. It seems to be a common factor where when they struggle with these opening engagements and losing out on those kills, well, the Ela, the Griswold mines to capture any push, that seems to be the solution for Astralis time and time again.
They've got the Ela under watch of Forest from above. You think the timeouts are just like a break glass in case of emergency for a Forest Ela kind of deal?
It might be. It's like you have the permission to go for it. It's time.
Thing for G2 is his offensive threats that they had, whether it was Citizen on the squad way back 2 months ago. Whether it's Benjamaster now, whether it's Doki doing the same thing. You've got a lot of offensive threats for both of these teams. The surprising thing that was noted yesterday in their matchup against Koi was that only a single player went positive on Astralis despite their win. Something similar looks like it's happening, but Forest, swing, 2 kills to start off the round. That's what Astralis needs after this timeout. They need to be able to catch their breath and knock G2 on their heels.
Yeah, I mean, that's Doki and Benji off the board. That means that now the aggression from G2 is going to slow down tremendously. And Astralis still in full map control. G2, they have no way in, but just like hoping for hero plays.
Not only did we see Forest jump on this Ela, but now we also see a 4th bomb site coming out for Astralis. This is a full rotation. When Astralis went to Bar Gaming on round number 7, we got to see all 4 of the bomb sites get played, but Astralis showing their flexibility on a map that was noted was only played 1 time with Spiff on this roster, and that was in a tier 3 level of competition. So, big stakes at play here for Astralis. For them to gamble with an operator change on a new bomb site is quite impressive. Oh, they're gonna duel so well. Forest picks up a 3rd kill. Alimau gets the down onto Iconic, but not the secure. Seems like it might just elude him, and now a crossfire goes in. Bullets whizzing by the head of Carl as he just slowly walks his way over to blue. A flawless round is denied for Astralis, but Alimau has so much more work to be done. Out goes the smoke to cut off a line of sight, and Spiff's just chilling in the bomb site. They do indeed win the round after the timeout, and we're gonna go to all 12 rounds yet again with Astralis.
It's the coach buff. Forest and the Ela finds 2 opening kills in the round to really put Astralis in a winning position. We see it here. First pre-fire goes out. Even finds a 3rd on the round. Great hold by Astralis.
He don't whiff.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Now remember that the winner of this matchup goes up against OXG just, what, an hour or so, 2 hours after this match ends? If a team can take this 2-0, reserve some energy, avoid that 3rd map, from the player's perspective, very beneficial, as OXG will be rested up. Of course, for the caster, for the crowd, for the fans, a 3rd map wouldn't be all too bad, even going all 15, but you have to worry about fatigue in this matchup if you're G2 or Astralis. You have to think ahead. Winning this match is great, but it's not your goal. Your goal is to win both of the games today to go to the grand finals tomorrow.
Not to make this about myself for a second here, but I mentioned yesterday on social media that I've been going through vocal therapy. I've been very forthcoming about that. I appreciate that Astralis are eager to ensure that I got every single dollar's worth of that therapy by pushing every single game to the maximum limit allowable.
How kind of them.
How kind. Good Lord, could you imagine if Astralis makes it to the grand finals with unlimited overtime? The game would never end.
Oh no.
Don't cheer that, you lunatics.
It's gonna be a long Sunday in that case.
God help the viewers. God help Astralis' opponents of W7M if Astralis make it that far. Crucial round and my favorite round of them all because the winner goes to map point. For G2, this might be a stunning result. They picked this map, they like this map.
Mouse on site.
Mouse just bursting in. G2 do not want any more magic from this Astralis team. Mao getting softened up, chewed up, spit out. Doki with 1 kill answered back by Iconic. G2 still with the lead, a minute burned off of the clock.
Yeah, just a small execute. 1 member taking 2 down. G2 playing around it. Carl being enabled for the first time in this matchup on that flex operating off the nuke, and it pays off massively. Strides did not expect that to happen.
Now a reset for G2 with plenty of time to go. That's the beautiful thing of getting into the bomb site so early, Nick, is that once you get in, even if you lose somebody like Mao, you got half the round to pivot, you got half the round to make sure that the next steps work even better. Spiff, you can't shoot through that, by the way.
Expecting the 3rd punch to go out, perhaps that did not occur. Benji playing it smart and safe, and you're right, because Astralis, they moved all back towards the bomb site to get it back in their control, so G2 can take this top of control much easier.
Spiff is being focused from 2 separate angles. A mag dump. Doki was in tow, whether it was Benja or Doki, but guess what? Iconic is up top on the vault out. He's just swinging for the fences at this point. Both of these teams trying to draw as much blood as possible. Still a minute to go. This round has gone on forever, you would think. 5 players still upright in the server. Diffuser in the hands of Blur. G2 have 2 bodies to watch, Iconic and J90 as that diffuser goes down. Astralis want to peek, J90 missing an opportunity. A crouch underneath those kill holes, but J90 has another opportunity. It goes in Virtue's favor, Iconic with 3 kills. He will need to ace to win this round for Astralis. Here's the bullets going. Peeking around, getting information, ego challenging. He knows he's got to go. Iconic has been good in the clutch before, but an ace clutch, now that's something different. Flashes go out, Iconic blind, gets the quad. Blur has the time working against him, Iconic reposition. What does he do that? An ace by Iconic. You're kidding me.
He does it again, and again and again. It's a trade.
I regret swearing yesterday.
You want it now?
Because I would have loved to have done it now.
You only get 1, Parker.
I'm speechless. Absolutely speechless.
No way.
What has this team done to earn this luck? Koi's watching this from the stands going, yep.
Yeah. That's what happened to them as well. I'm not gonna lie. I was too quick at the punch. I clocked in G2 going 6-5 in that 1v3. I'm so sorry, Iconic. I should have believed more. But when J90 fell early, Iconic not even close to the bomb side. It looked unwinnable. But it never is with Astralis. And it's forced G2, it's forced Fabian to take the timeout, talk some sense into the situation, saying, guys, yes, we should have won that round. They're allowed 1. That's it. Go to OT, don't allow it again, take it in overtime.
Excuse me, have you seen the clutch statistics for Astralis? Astralis are allowed a lot more than just 1 of those.
They are usually.
Statistically, Astralis is allowed about 5 of those a match.
I guess you could say G2 so far done a great job at not allowing that to happen. But once this space is being made by Astralis, it almost seems like it's going to be happening again. Once they find that secret formula in those clutch moments, they share it amongst the members. Iconic might get one, then it's Shuttle's turn, Forest takes one around. All of a sudden, Astralis just steal the show.
Astralis perfect after their timeout, 2 rounds in a row. And Iconic's gonna keep it up.
Classic.
Doki tries to enter, Iconic says no thank you. That clutch that we just saw, the ace from Iconic, has now pushed him into positive KD territory. I would like you to note that he is only one of 2 that have a positive KD other than Spiff. Nades going out, doing no damage on Repel. Iconic is in such a hard spot. Can Spiff come in for the assist? Alibao is now down as well. Virtue gets kill number 1. That's finding the remainder of Iconic. Benja walking in, taking up space through kitchen. Over to this Bar Gaming bomb site.
There is no more dangerous opponent than someone who just clutched in that previous round, and you saw Iconic instantly going for another gunfight, still having that adrenaline in his body, hungry for more. He finds one, burns 2 grenades, and stalls so much time on G2's initial entry point. He taggers down a member. It's 3 versus 4 in this bar attack, and this is exactly where you want the manpower to be in your favor. There are so many angles to be covered. It's Astralis in a favorable position to win the round.
Spiff chased away from the top of Library stairs. There goes the Keep a Barrier. The ADS seemingly needs to recharge. Both these teams will take a small breather. Just over a minute to go. The tension will continue to build for both of these squads. You saw them come skipping out. Ooh. G2 wants to skip into overtime. They've equalized at 3v3. Benja gets the Azami. Looking the wrong way. J90 posted up inside of Libraries, no more.
Yeah, G2 gonna need like a mini execute here on the blue stairs. Maybe a return drone. Benja falls on in. See if they can get Spiff out of this position.
Oh!
He waits.
I don't know if they expected him to play so confidently. Ice in the veins of Spiff. This is the time that you want to head back to that bomb site, but maybe you have someone on late flank. The Sledge getting into position to wreak some havoc. Tear away at the floor. But G2 has struggled to gain map control. Look at the timing. They're only just getting it now at 30 seconds. And they're going to put some holes in this defense of Astralis.
Yeah.
The thing is that Astralis can fire back. Those Library stairs that were once under control of Astralis now for Blur. Forest off site. Benja gets another free kill. Forest looking the wrong way. G2 will alert Astralis as to where they're coming from. Shuttle and Spiff are in the same area. Shuttle softening up one. Now it's Spiff's time to return fire. Can't do it. It's Virtue as the diffuser goes down with Shuttle to watch. Does not get it done. We're going to overtime. G2. They stop the comeback from Astralis.
Virtue body blocking the bullets so the plan could go down successfully, understanding the mission in front of him. It's not about Virtue in this scenario, it's about the objective because the timer is 0 on the clock. 6-6 first map. Speaking of reserving energy, these 2 teams are giving it all they have. It's only about this map right now.
G2 on the ropes on their own map. This is not the result that they clearly want, but once you start to get to this level, lower bracket semifinals, lower bracket quarterfinals, eventually the upper bracket grand finals, you're in a position where you have to be good on most of these maps.
Yeah.
If we're seeing a 7-1, if we're seeing a 7-0, which fair enough, we did see in the OXGW7 matchup yesterday, but if you're seeing these, something has gone catastrophically wrong. Even if this is a team that doesn't really play Chalet, this plot armor from Astralis just seems to be getting thicker and thicker as this run continues on. If you had told me 3 weeks ago that the team most likely in all of North American history to challenge Fabian's undefeated streak would be the 4th place team in their group of Astralis, I would have spent an unreasonable amount of time laughing.
And with a rookie of Spiff, I mean, you gotta question how much they can do, but they're showing up. You said 3 weeks ago, Parker, if you had told me a week and a half, a week ago alone, I'll be equally surprised.
Can we say 3 days ago?
Yeah, 3 days ago. before they started their crazy streak of taking down all the favors, right? Astralis took down Sonic, sent them home. Lost One, BDS, Koi, those are monumental names at this event, and Astralis single-handedly took care of all of them back to back to back to back, and G2's next.
Led by both Doki and Benja, both trading when they need to. Doki having good rounds, Benja going quiet. The inverse being true. Now it's Benja as things open up. Iconic shrugging off a lot of damage. He and Benja have both taken some beatings. They've got a read on Iconic. They flushed him out over towards those blue stairs. Not quite what you thought, right? I mean, they're gonna keep spotting him.
It's time
now
to
it's
act.
Benja. He knows this, and he wins it. Losing HP in the process. Iconic was a sitting duck at that point. Now Dokian activating the Banshee, but nobody seemingly close enough to really hear it. Maybe Shuttle did. It seems he has. And he's opened up a sight line to contest against Doki. But they got Benja Master above. G2 looks so good through this round. Doki in the hunt. Oh, how does Shuttle win that one? Excuse me, walking away. You know what that is? That's the 3 armor of Malusi coming in quite handy. Virtue trades it back. G2 in not a bad position in a 4v2. Plenty of time. Blur holding the diffuser as we've come to expect.
Alama hasn't left the drone yet. All those yellow pings comes from him.
Carl doing the Lord's work. J90 is down, and now G2 looking for the map point. You gotta run, you gotta hurry.
Forrest.
You gotta get there, run, Forrest, run! He does it just fine, this Ella working out. Sidearm in, but he can't get more than 2. G2 collapse on the bomb site, and they move to map point.
It might seem silly for Alamau to use the Talon shield in that scenario, but he was alone on that fireplace stairs. Other members hitting the backside door from Trench. He needed to buy time for the trade to occur, and it happened. By wasting those 5 seconds, making it hard for Forrest to take him down, it allows G2 to close the net and get into a strong position on the bomb site itself. And yeah, that speed reduction to Milusi kept Shuttle alive in the round for a little bit at least. Not for long enough. Alamau on drone the entire round, granting G2 3 kills with information. Virtue in basement, cutting off the rotation from Astralis, taking down Shuttle. Leaning it just down to Forrest on the Ella that worked out so well last time. Not that one. Master bedroom bomb site for G2. Astralis going through the motions right now, thinking what operators do we bring? We got 10 seconds with his attacker repick to finalize it. The last second change does come in. From Nuke onto Hibana, from Nomad onto the Ace, Heartbreach Destruction. It appears that Astralis is going to slow things down, go for a more common attack, you know, library over, open up those walls, or go for a Solarium attack. Both of these Heartbreach operators speak to a more structured attacking lineup. And it makes sense because right now it's hard to fight G2 on all the fronts because they're just fighting back.
They've got these 2 weapons, we keep talking about that. That last round, Benja Master, guided in by Alimau, who I'm so glad you talked about that. Because the fact that Alimau was responsible for gaining all of that intel, Benja's the one collecting the kills, not Alimau. But Alimau is almost as responsible, if not in some ways, more responsible.
Absolutely.
For isolating those players on the drones, giving that information to the team.
That's so correct.
Say one thing about this, whether you like Astralis or not, you cannot deny how entertaining these matchups are. Nitro Cell goes out from Alimau, taking strips out of Iconic. Virtue gets peaked, though. I don't think they were expecting Astralis to double up on the Solarium. Repel. Numbers staying even, though. The Frost of Benja Master gets on in 17 kills. The solution.
Solution that they needed. J90 looking for another kill, but Benja runs away. No one on that Solarium Repel. That means the rotation is freed up for the defending team. Astralis, they have one thing in their pocket. Spiv is inside the library, could go for a backstab late in the round while G2's distracted with this front side.
G2 are all over the map right now, just roaming very effectively. They see the barrel of the gun. They cannot collapse. J9O good enough for one, but guess who's there for number 2? 18 kills for Benja. Let's see 20. Why not? Keep this one in it.
Oh, they're in. They can plant.
Benja Master down. That's the raid boss. Astralis swatting away at them. Doki will need to clutch it. He can stop it in its tracks. Manages to do it, but he's given his position away. And what did I say? The 2 most precarious spots for you to be. A hatch drop and where? Up the stairs. Doki's made it up alive. He's a small guy. Maybe they just didn't see him. Astralis have swapped out the bomb site now, getting the diffuser planted. Again, more marks inside of the site. They have information. Doki trying to clutch, missing out! 15 rounds between G2 and Astralis, just on the first map alone.
Doki with a nice attempt of a clutch downstairs, but yeah, going up a staircase is so difficult. And to retake both of the bomb sites, finding out where the plant is going down, and winning 2 separate 1v1s. Great opening here by Forest. The double up on the window, unexpected by G2. And Benja, he keeps trading back the numbers, but it's not always enough. There are always just more members of Astralis playing together, it seems like. And it's a stat line that we've been talking about quite a lot throughout this tournament. Astralis, both on opening kills, on plus minus, almost all their players are negative. But they always trade, they're always there together. And that's the big difference maker for this team. The synergy, the coordination, always playing just 2 seconds of a sprint from one another on those duo roams, on the bomb site itself. You see it, Astralis, they aren't going for flanks, they're going for 2v2 on bomb site retakes. They're choosing to play this way, and it works so well for them.
I don't have any idea what to expect in a 15th round.
No.
I just don't know what's about to happen. And that has been the story for every Astralis matchup. Even in the G2 Wolves game yesterday, we were kept guessing. And that's the beauty of it. Live Siege in front of a crowd, you get on the edge of your seat. There's nothing like it. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. G2 wins on their map, or Astralis goes to their pick, up 1-0. What's the result? Fewer clutches than we've seen so far, but no shortage of impressive moments for both teams. A team effort from Astralis. G2 far more top-heavy.
Yeah. I just want to bring up that risk assessment again. When it's the 15th round first map, this is where it's the most difficult to make the tough decisions. Go for the peek, go for the passive play, go for a rush. The nerves will be setting in. No matter how experienced you are, you will start doubting yourself because the risk is so high at this moment.
Spiff's in serious trouble. Can he plug the hole? He's used these Kiba barriers so effectively to box out the attackers from the rest of Office. But now a chasm. G2 will scout in, still in the discovery phase. As we like to see with teams, you can quite effectively roam. There goes a Rotero drone. Spiff losing that position. Another Rotero drone about to come in. Spiff the first target, and now he's in between a rock and an even harder place. Blur starting things. That could be the first domino for G2, but wait. Iconic on the lurk. He'll do some serious damage, but not enough for a kill. Astralis trying to fight back. Acts of desperation. Doki dispatching shuttle. G2 now a massive lead that will continue to grow if they can find Forest. And there you go! J9O in a 1v5. This magic run from Astralis. J9O is the one with the most clutches for this team. Again, we don't need to tell you how tough this is going to be. Exothermic charge going off. J9O hears this in a fight for his life. You don't want it to be the beginning of the end of your miracle run. And it might just be G2's newest addition. So damn good in map number 1. It needed all 15 rounds. And it might be one of the most exciting matches that we've had so far. G2 walks out of their map up 8-7. They're 1-0 on the series.
But if that's G2's map pick and they go 8-7, barely winning out, we're going to Astralis' choice of theme park next with Benja successfully dropping 20 kills. that can't always be the case. Theme Park, I think, is going to set us nicely for a very close series.
Absolutely, Astralis love this map. There are always fireworks, even if they don't play it, even if you don't think they're practice, this team will always keep you on the edge of your seat. But just like we saw in their matchup against Koi yesterday, G2 don't need to be flashy. They don't need those same clutches. They don't need the same heroics. They just need their big players to show up. And Doki and Benja more than showed up in map 1. Does this continue? We've got at least one more map left on this Astralis Miracle run. Or does G2's streak and Fabian's streak against NA continue? We'll find out when we're back in just a couple minutes.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
What a way to start. Are y'all entertained? Oh my gosh, gentlemen, that was a barn burner, absolutely thrilling, entertaining to watch. I want to go back to the beginning though, okay? I'm gonna put you in the hot seat first, Fresh. I tend to do that.
Yeah,
Sorry. You're used to it by now. Okay, Astralis' pacing on attack. It was fast, it was direct, but G2 wised up fast.
And that's exactly what we expected. And I think round one, you know, we'd barely gotten off the desk here. You know, we're having a chat amongst ourselves, and we're seeing a blitz in the building. We're seeing fast plays from Astralis. You know, the plant going down in that very first round. Then it happened in round 2, and then round 3. It took G2 2 rounds to wise up to it, which actually I thought for other teams it has taken them longer to adapt to the Astralis playstyle. So G2 seemed to be aware that it was coming. They wised up for it. They got ready. They were not caught lacking, not caught just wandering in any of the early rounds, and they started picking up the entry kills back onto Astralis. Got away with a 3-3 half as well, which for Chalet is pretty decent.
And just to put a number on how aggressive and hectic this game had been, the opening kill averaged at only 54 seconds into the round. Oof. That is ridiculous. That is unheard of. Usually, the first phase of the round is the attackers approaching the building. No, we had spawn peaks going on 14 seconds in.
Okay, Dev, I need to talk to you about Doki and Benja. They are leading the charge on that map. What did you like about their play?
To be honest, Benja, for me, the exciting thing is that this is the new blood for G2, the final piece of the puzzle. He hit double digits in just round 6. And by the end of round 15, it was 20 bomb Benja time. He was absolutely nuts. So consistent round by round.
I think both players, you know, Doki on stage 3 G2, stage 2 G2, wanted to be the guy that carried the team, right? And he was forcing on these engagements. Now he's got Benja as a natural, like, that is such a difficult front line to go against. They both feel very natural. They're taking fights that are advantageous to both of them. And this Doki-Benja kind of duo is just fragging the hell out in every single game, it would seem.
And I can't help but think about the fact that 4 years on from G2's ultimate success, they have picked up another Dane. There are not many famous players from Denmark in Rainbow Six, but there is one that reigns above the rest and is iconically associated with this roster and has raised the trophy for them on this stage before. Is this the rise of another star player from Denmark?
Okay, Astralis fans, how y'all doing over there? Okay. I'm not gonna lie, they are loud, Fresh, and I definitely think that's having an impact on them. So talk to me about that.
When Astralis was playing yesterday, there was a pocket of maybe 30 people to just the right of the desk here.
Yeah.
Today it is the whole stand that is Astralis fans. And there's the Astralis support staff down here in front of them, G'ing them up, getting them chants going. And they are so important because it is genuinely, it's got so much louder than yesterday. They're keeping, whether they know it or not, Astralis in this game with just the energy they're providing them.
You hear that? You're keeping them alive. Oh my gosh, I love this crowd so much. If we're talking about Astralis though, we gotta talk about Spiff. Spiff don't whiff, right?
It's ridiculous. Spiff has none of the fear that you would expect from a pro player debutant. This is his first time in his professional career, and here he is delivering on the stage. And this is what I'm talking about. I got something on the telestration I'd like to touch on. So Spiff here, right? This is only a couple of rounds in, and we're already seeing some of the fantastic attacking strategies that Astralis are bringing to the table here. So Spiff, right, he's playing the fuse, not typically regarded as an entry operator, and the guys on the cast talked about this. When you're on the mezzanine up here, and you put a fuse charge down, it will go down onto the basement of the floor and start tearing up all of that vert. And as we can see what happens with Spiff, not only does he actually enable a lot of vert here, but he even actually finds a kill off of it. In this round, we have Spiff, the debutant, completing some serious objectives for his team, opening up vert. We have him finding the opening kill, and when push comes to shove in the late round, we also have Spiff clutching out the round in a 1 versus 1 and getting that diffuser down. This man can do it all. We talk about KOST, stands for Kill, Objective, Survival, and Trade. This round right here, Spiff does literally everything.
I actually think that KOST is maybe an outdated stat for when you've got a player that can get every single one of them in the same round. Maybe we need to do like a weighted cost, or just for Spiff.
Can you get like 5 cost points for if you do all 5?
Because obviously if you achieve one of them, then you know you just achieve cost. It doesn't matter which one you achieve. But he achieved every single one. That was an impressive round for a rookie. And like we say, he made his debut at this event.
And we love our rookie Spiff, but iconic, plain iconic. Am I wrong? The clutch.
Ian keeps calling him Batman, but my goodness, this guy comes alive in front of a crowd. You know, I was there in Charlotte and I kept describing him and the team as an enigma. And all he does is feed off the energy that his teammates give him, that his coach gives him, that the crowd gives him. And he keeps coming up with these massive plays and massive moments. Obviously, that 1v3 clutch that he got was, you know, nothing short of sensational by getting it with the trade on the very final kill as well.
Yeah, and this is it. Now, Jack, I wasn't in Charlotte, so this is my first time witnessing Iconic's greatness firsthand. Now, he already had a 2K going into this 1 versus 3 clutch, and it's so hard to play like this. The name of the game is isolating fights, playing to deny the plant, and G2 played this fairly well. They're just looking to trade, and a flashbang is exactly what they try and use to enable that. He finds a kill while flashed. The final was a hip fire, one tap, trade, which he only won because when you trade and there's no defenders left, technically they protected the bombs and therefore they win the round. It literally cannot get closer than that.
It's absolutely incredible. I think at this point, when teams go up against, and they know that go up against Astralis and they know they're in a 3v1, a 2v1, you actually see them play it in a sense, even more cautiously because they don't want to lose the round, and they're still losing it.
And how about that final round where J9O is in a 1v5 and you're like, hey, it's possible.
This is not done yet.
It's the Clutch King, it's possible.
Okay, tough question. Map 2, what do we think?
Oh, look, I think that was obviously the pick for G2. So they're expected to take their map pick. Now, we know Astralis have got that mental resilience to go into, you know, being one map down and carry on through the full best of 3. It's what they've done the whole tournament. Theme Park is another beast, though, because Astralis do like it, but their results on it are kind of very close games, where their attacking win rate is very low, their defensive win rate is very high, and there's definitely a mismatch there. So with them picking the map, I expect G2 to start on the defense and therefore get a good lead. And I just wonder whether that will start snowballing for Astralis.
Okay, so you're thinking G2 doing this in 2? What are you saying?
I think this is my famous last words. I think G2 do it in 2.
Oh my.
Jack, I made that mistake in stage 2.
You got booed.
I know.
Jack, I made the same mistake you have just made when they were going to play against BDS, and I am certainly not making that mistake again. Look, Theme Park's a good map for both teams, but Astralis are going to take it. I'm telling you right now.
The crowd liked that answer, that's for sure. Are we ready for map 2? Okay, you heard them. Pengu and Taro, take it away.
Thank you very much. Is this the end of the Miracle Run? Is this a continuation of Fabian's undefeated streak against this entire region? I will tell you one thing. G2 has played in a lot of 2-0s through this event. Astralis has played in a single 2-0, and they won it. Even when they've lost games, they still go to all 3 maps. And now we are going to their choice after being a couple kills away from being up 1-0. It doesn't get any closer than that.
No, and to make things worse for G2, I mean, this is also the map where Astralis has sent home both Sonics and BDS. Theme Park was played in those best of 3s. And sure, both teams have a preference for it. G2 played the map 3 times, Astralis played the map 4 times. One of those being against CAG, which was a bit of a blowout. But other than that, both teams very experienced on Theme Park, unlike Chalet.
Amaru band to start things off.
Don't play
says we don't play Amaru.
Oh, bamboozled. Ying being answered back from Astralis once more. Alamau finding himself on that operator quite frequently. Toki says he has PTSD from other game that they played. Alamau says that they don't play Ying, which that's a cap.
I mean, but here's the thing. Let's take what Astralis says at face value. Let's say they don't play Amaru.
Okay.
Historically.
Okay.
If there was ever a time to suddenly start involving that operator in your lineup, now's about as good time as any.
Oh, certainly.
Teams will conceal entire maps, hoping to bring them out at the most advantageous point. That could be a grand finals, that could be when you're facing down elimination. Astralis has been facing down elimination through 5 games now. Yeah. This is a very familiar spot for them.
Yeah.
If they had to bring things out to stave off elimination, they would have done that and expended all of their war chest against the Sonics back in the very first round of the lower bracket. So G2 can just look at it and say, you know what? We've watched the footage from Astralis. There's not a single attacker that they bring that we are worried about handling. Let's just ban our own comfort pick just in case.
Yeah, I was going to say, a good team will study your opponent and ban out their comfortable operators, their high pick rate ones that really make or break either defense or an attack. A great team is going to look beyond the scope and say, well, these attacks are amazing, but what if they were to implement this operator as a surprise pick? That very well could be, as you said, Parker, the Amaru to speed things up from Astralis because they are starting on attack. G2 get the favorable side, set up their defenses, and let Astralis approach the building however they would like to. And then, of course, after 6 rounds, we'll look at the scoreline to see who seems to have a better grasp at theme park so far. But there is one thing. Astralis, by my count, at this event, the best team at attacking theme park by far. Especially against this armory thrown bomb site with G2 stars, but Benji advanced just one. It looked like a free 2 kills, but no Forest immediately hops off the drone and trades it back.
Good coordination here. Attacking theme park is a mighty undertaking. And as good as Astralis might be, again, just like every other map at this entire event, it tilts towards the defenders. 60% of all rounds played for the defense. Down goes Forest. So yeah, Benja might not have gotten that first pick, but guess who did?
Yeah, Doki follows up.
The other superstar from map number 1. Iconic trades out Ali Mao Virtue in this rat position. Oh my. Almost missing out on the first burst of bullets, but secures the kill on the J90, who walks into Cafe seemingly without any drones.
I will say, like, with the 2 hot breaches being killed off by G2, the question has to be raised internally. Should we fall back to the bomb site and play it safe? Because they cannot really open up any lines of sight. They don't know Iconic has a secondary hot breach gadget. If you got both Hibana and Ace on the board, it's almost safe to assume you don't bring a 3rd hot breach option. And it seems like this question has been answered by G2 because while I was saying that, all 3 members, they ran from top floor down to the 1st floor and into the bomb site. Now Astralis, they have only really 3 ways in. The hatch leading to the bomb site itself, but as we spoke about on Chalet, dropping a hatch, not a great place to be in. And you got the dragon door, and you got that triple door from arcade side, so there really aren't any favorable positions for Astralis to get inside this bomb site, and they have to win the round.
I mean, the only real benefit is that secondary heart breach gadget.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, losing your 2 heart breachers first is usually, that's it. That's the round for own armory. You're doomed. Obviously, you don't play these rounds on paper. You play them in the server, so good theory craft all we want. Speaking of those secondary heart breach,
they breached this already.
Salmas did go off, but guess what's on the board? Blur's Capcan traps still linger and guard the door frames. Spiff, very lucky to not die to that. G2 don't need to move a muscle. Great patience. Again, it doesn't need to be flashy. Spiff needs to be wary as Iconic picks up his 2nd kill. There's a crossfire. Blur gets it. Iconic will need to shove one of them out, but Blur's just too good. G2 take round 1.
Watching G2 play this tournament, I've tried to kind of attach a simple word to describe their playstyle when they're on defense. And the only word I could really come up with that I thought was fitting was that they're a bully. And I think this round portrays it perfectly. Within 20 seconds, Benja jumps out a window, kills 1 hard breacher, almost gets the 2nd. And then you think, oh, they're done bullying and picking on people now. But no, Doki does the same thing, finds the 2nd hard breach. And then they play disciplined, respecting Astralis' clutch potential in those 2v3s, 2v2s, etc. Establishing crossfires on the side and playing it safe. And that's the other thing. G2 as an org historically always been good at shutting down the star players, such as Iconic on the clutch. Now the thing is, Astralis as an entire team, they all bring that clutch factor. Most clutches in this tournament by far, with W7M being 2nd place. Over 25 individual 1vx's round by Astralis so far in this tournament. And G2, it's only been 1 map. Sure, we went 15 rounds, but only 1 round clutched by Astralis. When you look at that in terms of numbers, that's a good scenario for G2. They only win 1 round from like a 1 versus 3. So they are shutting down Astralis and where they shine in those clutch moments. And it has been the saving grace of Chalet for them.
Wow, G2 winning the bomb site that for a period of time had the distinction of being the friendliest to the defenders. Was that one game you and I casted where it seemed like Throne Armory was played the most and the attackers just kept winning over and over and over?
And you know who attacked on that map? Astralis.
Exactly. It's almost like I remembered the game, but was deliberately pretending not to so that you could chime in. Funny how that works, doesn't it? You might not be chiming in, but Iconic's going to have a lot to say. Droned in and dispatching Alley Mao. This is the power that a Nook provides. The drone does not break the barricade. Doesn't work that way.
It would be kind of cool though, right? Like a really strong toss toward the window. Iconic wants to get out, not surrender himself. Want to maintain that advantage.
Doing his best Iconic impression. Up those dragon stairs, Doki on the retake. Oh. There's a flank drone there though, and has Doki noticed it? He's walked right past it, knowing that it's not lit up. But he's under watch yet again. Forrest jumps on out. Down goes Spiff. Where was that?
Balcony of cash.
And now it's Iconic to follow. Shuttle on the board. Very fast. Again, the desk talked about this. Doki playing by Dragon Corridor. They don't see him there. Forrest in a 1v3 with a minute and a half to go. This is certainly not the start that Astralis wanted, but G2 is going to be very happy about it. Can Forrest pull off a clutch? Will he take this time to think and sit? Diffuser within reach. It'll be there in just a moment.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Sounded like the last Kiba barrier went for Doki as well. Magnets will continue to be tossed out from Virtue. Good news for this G2 defense is that they don't need to do anything. Again, G2 have not really played that flashy through this series.
They don't need to. Not yet. Forrest struggling with the keep it barrier.
Doki just waited patiently. 2-0 G2.
I'm curious what this is going to look like from Astralis in terms of tactical timeout usage, because when they call it, they win the round afterwards, and they need more than just a single round. They need to play their timeout in a way where you get enough information as call out to give you 60 seconds worth of feedback that will change this tide around. But also you can't wait too long to take that timeout because you don't want to be down, let's say, 0-4, 0-5. It's a fine balance right now if you're the coach of Astralis as when to hit the brakes and when to help your team out turn this around.
Astralis won the first 2 rounds against G2 on G2's map.
Yeah.
They did so on the unfavorable side. So I'm imagining that Callout is looking at this now and saying, okay, G2 have won their very first 2 defenses. No point in hitting the emergency stop button just yet. Theme Park is going to tilt in G2's favor. If Astralis can emerge from the first half 3-3, just as we saw on Chalet, then I'd say that Astralis is in pretty good shape. But said the same thing about Chalet. We were correct, but that needed overtime to seal the deal between the squads. Obviously, Callout is privy to the team comms. We are not. So if there's something troubling going on in terms of emotions, or if the team is not in the correct headspace, then yeah, it's not unusual to see a coach call it in the first 2 rounds. The fact that it hasn't been called just yet suggests that Callout doesn't see this as cause for concern.
I'm gonna keep my eyes on Spiff for this one. He's had a slow start in the first 2 rounds, but again, the way G2 are playing, it's not really easy to fight back, just jumping out windows, challenging all the openings. But Spiff had a pretty significant high-value first map of Chalet. His first game on the stage yesterday. He had a bit of a rough start, settling in with a crowd, the cameras, the pressure that builds upon the stage itself. Today looking a lot more comfortable in the server. He is that young rookie of Astralis. He's only 18 years of age. Imagine starting at the Six Invitationals.
Great point by Dezichu after the first map. Said Ben just got more kills than years alive. Doki continuing onwards. These threats that G2 have not been able to get slowed down. Now it's Benja's turn to get on the board. There's the logic bomb, revealing the position of Doki. Nobody seemingly in sight to deal with it. Every single kill from G2 coming from a separate player. Now Benja hunted down by J90.
Surely not.
Don't see team aces all that often. 5v3, won't be a team ace. Wow. Carl gets 2 kills. Doki shuts the door. G2 indomitable up 3-0. That third round done flawlessly.
That is the easiest looking office defense I've ever seen because it didn't really matter where the bomb site was. It has 0 impact on what's happening in the server. They're just fighting downstairs, upstairs, across, and near the site itself.
The one benefit of the 4 games that Astralis played on this map is that there is no shortage of VOD to review for G2. They can sift through every single round. They can sift through every single action. You know it from when you teamed with him. Fabian has a very analytical brain. He sees these strategies at a micro and a macro level.
You sit in a room, 7, 8 people, right?
Yeah.
And you go, this looks pretty easy to pick apart. Let's just go this position, be ready for this, etc. You note it down, you prep it, you talk about it, then you apply it in the server. Astralis definitely looks like they've been studied through and through in the first 3 rounds. But again, when you look at G2's gameplay, as you said, Parker, it's not flashy, it's just consistent. Astralis, they have to find a way to break it on their attack inside. They cannot go on their defense being down 0-6. Then there's no room for mistakes and very little room for adaptation and risks. They need to find just the 2 attacking rounds to be in a great position because that 2-4 split, that's arguably the expected number of rounds you'll get looking at Theme Park across the board.
A perfect rotation through their first 3 bomb sites for G2. They go back down to Throne and Armory. A quick runoff of the 4 bomb sites just to give you a bit of a lay of the land. We have seen Throne, Armory. We've seen Bunk Daycare, and we've seen Initiation and Office be played so far. Lab will likely show up at some point. Teams do like to play it. And in fact, it's Initiation Office with the lowest pick rate, despite the fact that we've already seen it once. All 4 bomb sites, very firmly defender-sided. 59% of rounds played on Armory Throne, won by the defense. 62% on Bunk Daycare. Lab Storage, 61%. Office, Initiation, not just the lowest played bomb site, but the lowest win rate for the defenders, still 57% of all rounds won by the defense. Based on those numbers, 5-1s are entirely possible for the defenders. G2 are marching their way towards that number right now. They've already got 3 rounds. That last one done flawlessly. No signs of slowing down.
Iconic.
Maybe Iconic has something to say about it. First pick onto Doki, but Shuttle's gone. Look at this. G2 always trading back. They are not allowing Astralis even a moment to breathe after getting that first pick.
That's true. Every single time they're just looking for more and more, but General plays it smart, walks backwards. Let's just come to him, get that free kill himself.
Iconic doesn't need to go anywhere. He can just sit and wait now. Oh, he gets Ali Mao, thinking he had something, but the logic bomb gives his position away. Down below. In lab, not the actual bomb site, but still holding it. An important place to sit as a defender, especially if you want to retake through split.
And you can see Astralis attack a lineup, only a single heart breach. They want more gunpowder for these engagements. They recognize it's about the fight.
Oh, they've got 2 downs from Benja. Pulling off the 3K.
Swapping mags.
That's a way to stop Astralis, blunt their momentum. Benja's luck runs out against J90. Blur had taken some damage earlier on. He's in a very strong spot. Playing in back Armory. Knows one's coming in through Dragon Door, the other over towards Split, but he has a blind spot towards Split right now. Dueling with Spiff, engaging, but Spiff is better. Astralis, after their timeout, they get on the board.
It looked great for them. The hatch drop, very risky, doesn't pay off immediately, but they still get the round victory. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'm curious if the replay might catch it because it seemed like a very, very almost unintentional play from them. No, just bad timing. Captain Trap goes off at the same time. Benji was there at the right moment to strike.
The crowd's so desperate. They need anything to get them into this match. The desk talked about it, that the crowd is keeping Astralis in this match and in many matches. This now being the second.
Right back to Throne again. I mean,
Came down to a 1v2. Benja.
Exactly.
3 huge picks, keeping numbers close. Astralis were fine on the entry, but I don't ever think once they got those opening picks, and G2 answered back, fair enough. I don't think Benja ever got discovered, which means that you look at your strategy, you say, okay, through the mid-round,
5 seconds left.
Astralis are not hopping back onto drones to figure out where we are off-site. They're too focused on the execute on-site. And they wanted that on-site aggression. They weren't going for the strategic element because, as you pointed out, there was just a single hard breacher. Astralis is going to bring the exact same setup again.
Yeah. I think it makes perfect sense as well. And I want to say the big difference in that round is that Iconic finds open and kill, that's normal. But then J9 actually staying alive, finding a second kill for Astralis. Normally that's where it's the opposite way around, where Iconic finds one, then G2 they find 2 back. So Astralis now playing a little bit slower as a team, expecting the aggression from G2 and punishing it. That's what they need to do. Round 5 on the way, and Iconic just sitting on that rappel, waiting for a rotation from G2, but he rappels in.
He's in. He's hunting down Benja. Ooh. This has been quite the duel so far, with Iconic walking away successful most times. Good prioritization over the Kiba barrier. Oh, and not get a third, maybe a bit too confident. Alimau with both kills so far for G2 this round. Won't get any more. Forrest says no thanks, and now your cams are ours. 3v2 for Astralis. Again, the tempo of these rounds when Astralis are attacking is just, it's breathtaking how quick it is. First kills happening within the first 40 to 50 seconds consistently every single round.
One thing I would love to see from Astralis is somebody helping Iconic. I mean, this man is in fighting 3 members back to back to back with no support, and he's finding so much value in the rounds. Now it's Spiff, Force, and Shuttle to seal the deal, get that second round on the board in their theme part attacks. It is thrown though, it's easily defendable by 2 defenders. That's exactly what G2 has to work with.
There's the last logic bomb from Forrest. Doki now doing what Benja had done on the previous round. Play far off site, aim for a retake at some point. Maybe catch Astralis looking the wrong way just as Benja. Oh, he almost gets it. Down goes Spiff. And suddenly, Doki finds himself in a 1v3! Oh, cannot go against Forrest! Astralis get 2 in a row. They've closed the gap down to just a single round between them and G2.
Forrest finds the clutch, the second in this matchup. Iconic found the first. The clutch factor, keeping Astralis in it. It's a very close round once again. Spiff injured on the ground. Almost looked like he was just proning, waiting for something to happen. And Forrest with less than 30 HP just lands that DMR shot onto Doki, shuts him down. Things are shaping up to be a close series once more after what could have been a blowout with a 3-0 lead for G2, ending that third round on a flawless even. Bomb side change for G2 after 2 unsuccessful rounds on Throne, and we spoke about earlier, Parker, Astralis is one of the best teams that attack in that Armory Throne bomb site. They always seem to have a way in to problem solve at most, if not all, scenarios. In G2, they challenge it to say, I dare you to do it twice in a row. But Astralis did it.
5 seconds.
Timeout worked its magic, settled the team down, screwed their heads on straight.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
Not exactly impressive rounds, but scrappy. And that's what Astralis is. Every time they're scrappy. If G2 are bullies, then that's the word to describe Astralis. They are never out of a round. 1v3s, 1v4s, 1v2s, 1v1s, doesn't matter. Astralis changing things up, juggling the hard breach, putting into the hands of Iconic now. Forrest has earned the Nook role.
It's like the dog for an attack. The chosen one gets to play the operator.
You're gonna get a lot of value out of this Twitch as well because of the Mira on the board, providing that Benja has put down those mute jammers in positions where you can stop the drone's advance.
Bomb located by attackers.
G2 have 2 ways to play this bomb site. Hard walls to the side, playing a bandit and tricky, but there's no banding on the board because the walls are opened up as an aggressive hold across it.
That sucks for Doki, losing that position inside a cache. Shuttle with 3 more drones. Second will now go out. And it just evades Doki, but it flushes him away from his position. He's gonna hold down this spot over towards Cash. He's got 2 Kiba barriers in pocket. At any point, those kunais can get thrown out. He's not gonna die with them though. There goes one, give him some protection after softening up, then finishing Iconic. Doki evading kills so far, totally blind. They're both blind. Spiff seems to be able to see quite clearly though. Now Blur is down. Advantage for Astralis with half of the round to go. Yet another round where the action comes so quickly.
But this time it's the injury working for Astralis and Nuke striking secondly after that fact, and that gives them even more map control.
There goes Benja. I think hits like a truck and you know it. 4v2 for Astralis, plenty of time to work through. 6 drones remaining, including Rotero drones. One that's used to move Alimau out of his position. Alimau decides to swing, he has no choice. He's lost Virtue now, has no teammates by his side, and he's boxed into the bomb site. Tucked away in the corner. Should be good enough for 1 kill, 2 even.
Shotgun.
Shotgun out, he could easily win this.
Oh!
A J90 is quick to the punch. Just as on map 1, first half, 3 rounds apiece.
And Astralis always playing close together, the saving grace once again. If you are just 1 second further behind your teammate, you allow Alimau to get into security, play that second position where he can get a vantage point. But instead, the moment he goes for the run, they're there to strike. He had 2 Toxic Babes left. He could have easily stalled things out in that 1v1. But Astralis, the teamwork, the communication, it's flawless in that round.
I mean, if Alimau had stood his ground and just decided to fight again instead of running, he probably would have won that engagement against J9.
Possible.
It's very possible. Zofia at that close range, shotgun in hand, you're probably winning that one. And we could have seen G2's clutch compared to Astralis's. Then rank them maybe after the fact. First half going in terms of opening duels. Most of the rounds were trades. Because of the quick pace that Astralis set, G2 were almost always lined up to trade out. This was one thing when you played on that Penta and G2 squad. The biggest compliment that could be paid against that team was you were never, ever at a disadvantage. You might die, but Jonas was there to have your back. Goga might die. Fabian was there to have his back. You were always in position to trade out. Nice to see G2 doing something that I casted 5 years ago.
Some things never change, and I mean, when you got the old man himself, Fabian, behind the squad, I mean, it's no secret he is brewing his own experience and ideologies and philosophies into this roster, saying there's a certain structure, how you play the game, perceive the game, in and out of the server, even when you're at LAN events. Carry yourself a certain way, approach the game a certain way, and it's very evident that G2 is a much more structured and better looking team than just 3 months ago. Massive props to the team for that.
Oh, Forrest! No, that's not the start you want. Forrest has these rounds where he gets a little bit too brazen. Again, confidence becomes hubris. G2 now, no trade. They follow up with a nice nade from Benja onto J90, tossed in masterfully. After that Kiba barrier had gone down, the next one finds its marks. Astralis are not ceding any ground right now, though. Oh, but Benja breaks in, doesn't see Spiff at top of Dragon, and he engages again. But the Deagle, again, might be a bit too much hubris for this Astralis team. They've been reduced to just 2. G2 desperate to get the lead back. They surrendered it just a minute and a half ago.
They got full side control. There are no last members of roaming from Astralis. They can just get down and plant this diffuser down.
You got to get the diffuser in. Once again, Blur holding on to it. Shepherd him in. Astralis will aim to fight for a post plant. Blur getting the diffuser down now at the halfway mark. Two-thirds, it's all the way down. Virtue dies. Astralis will scramble out of their positions.
This retake is so hard.
You have to go through split. And as long as there's a cross, which there is, you're as good as dead. Doki digs 2 graves. G2 take the lead back.
I had to say early in that round, Spiff really surprising and impressing me. Standing his ground on the Dragon Stairs, gets Benja, whips out the Deagle and goes for a second engagement. I mean, note, he could have ran back to bomb site undamaged at any moment. He chooses to fight. Astralis having a game plan saying, do not surrender this control to G2. Fight where you can. Still get 4 kills in the round. Gets bomb site control, escorts Blur with Diffuser onto side. He's doing all of it in that round. He even took down Spiff upstairs.
We talk about it when it comes to maps, we talk about it when it comes to bomb site rotations, but if you're making it to the final 4 of the biggest event of the year, it is not often that one player on a team will lag behind the rest. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And even when you look at players like Blur, like Virtue, like Alimao, who are not anywhere near the top of the scoreboard like Benja is, or Doki's broken double digits with 10 kills. They're still playing a role. And that role might be to sit on a drone for 2.5 minutes. That role might be relying on other people. Maybe you need them, Doki and Benja, to flush out the roamers, and then you walk in after being on drone, you get the diffuser down, you get some hard breach down. Maybe on defense, your goal is to not overpeak and stay alive.
That's exactly how it works, right? And the thing is, Doki and Benja, they're not just walking in, taking these fights because, oh, they're so much better. No, it's because the supportive cast of Element Blur, they're there to support them, drone them on in, hold across, or if they push someone out, they're there to capture them. It's always a team effort on all fronts, from all teams.
It's the same thing with Astralis. They do not get to where they are in this lower bracket run, vanquishing all the teams that they've vanquished along the way, if somebody is a boat anchor. And I know that we put a very large and very bright spotlight on Shuttle, but they don't beat Koi without Shuttle yesterday. Again, it's a team effort. Benja the first to die in this round. It comes a bit late, it's been a minute.
Yeah, one of the slower rounds for sure.
Iconic on Solus. Solus banned out on Chalet by G2. Nice to see Astralis go back to an operator that can impact things so strongly. Alimao takes down Forrest, and now the site is under G2's control. Half of the round to go, and the diffuser going down at the moment, once again by Blur. Shuttle will swing out, losing the duel to Alimao. G2 have the site control, boxing them out. Doki with 2 big picks, Iconic with 2 of his own, but Blur seals the deal. G2 2 rounds away from the victory they so crave.
That's 2 rounds in a row where G2 finds himself in the middle of the bomb site while still trying to roam clear with a single member. Sure, Benja might have been shot down by Iconic, but it comes at the cost of the entire round for Astralis. And while down the hatch, in he goes. It's messy, but there's only 1 member of Forest defending the site itself with no trade. Doki, so accurate in these gunfights.
Once they knew they had site control, the rest of G2 snapped into action. And they were surrounding the bomb site. It was not a very linear take by G2. They assessed that there was just a single player through that office area. They go in, they get the kill. Trying to figure out exactly what the crowd is saying.
That's what I was thinking.
Kind of like no, but I don't. Are you saying no to Astralis losing? That's not how it works.
Speaking a victory into existence, saying no when you lose the round. That is not supposed to happen, that is wrong.
It's not quite how it works.
It's not. But you can try all you want. Astralis, of course. They know a thing or two about going the distance, even being down in rounds, being in unfavorable spots. When you lose the first map, you're down 3 to 5 on the second one. That is your map pick. It's not looking great.
Yeah, I mean, the big issue with Astralis is we talk about how it's a team. They've just got, in this series so far, too many players who are losing duels and getting picked off by superior gunplay from G2. There's obviously a strategic element to it. You saw Alimao when he was on attack, how well he was droning. But at the end of the day, who is stacking up to Doki and Benja when it comes to the kills department? And time again, Astralis are just finding themselves in losing positions. Now, in their matches earlier in the lower bracket, maybe against worse opponents, yeah, you might be able to pull off a couple clutches as we saw from Astralis.
Great name.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
But better opponents will not allow you to clutch those 1v3s, those 1v4s, etc. They just will not. And that is what I think we are seeing right now with G2. They are isolating these players, and despite that Astralis is repeatedly in 3v5s, 2v4s, G2 are suffocating them and not allowing those clutches to happen at all.
And look at another slow round. G2, they're choosing this. I mean, they're on the attack, step by step, going through the motions, letting Astralis kind of bleed out, kind of questioning what exactly is going to be happening, and then striking when the moment is right. Doki missing out on a freebie.
Forest is down. G2 get the start that they want. Now it's Spiff to swing into action. Doki traded off. There's a Kiba barrier to go up, keeping Spiff alive for the moment. But he's got double duty. Nade sails in. He gets away with a hair of HP before Astralis get on the board in 2 big plays. Now the advantage goes to Astralis. But look at the HP of Iconic and J90. Very, very low, and there's still 1 nade left for Virtue. If that thing lands even remotely close to those 2 players from AST, they are gone.
Good drone work on the side and on the roam. G2 knows that most members fell back. With the C4 being ripped out, could take down one of the last 2 members off the attacking lineup. It's J90, primed and ready. Virtue's gonna want to use that hammer and start that vertical destruction, but 35 seconds left to go. They need to start hitting the bomb site itself shortly. They got the info, but can they act upon it? I'm not so sure.
G2 have plenty of time to use that information, but now is when the clock starts to run out.
It's right there.
They know that J90 is in that position. It's a 2-2. Blur will hop into the bomb site with the diffuser.
10 seconds to go.
Are kills even possible here? They're both stacked up. Last 2 players from G2. Iconic chooses the wrong direction, but he clutches it again. The crown shines brightest on the head of the king.
He waits for the right moment, doesn't swing in the first jump in, doesn't even swing in the second. He lets them wrap around and expose themselves, giving up that cover off the sandbags to secure the round. Again, a high risk, but a high reward. Almost sacrificing his teammate. Shuttle actually saving Spiff inside of Cafeteria by shutting down that intra member of G2. Another close 2 versus 2, but Astralis come out on top once again. That lab bomb site, there's so much map to worry about, so many locations of the roamers, and G2, they got close. But the bomb site is so big, all those corners with no drones, no time, it's too much to handle.
I was gonna say, these first 2 rounds for G2, that's where things begin to get troubling. Look back in the first half. G2 goes up 3-0, timeout called immediately. The tail end of that flawless 3rd round by Astralis. They have no parachute. They're soaring through the night sky, soaring through the stars. No way to slow themselves. But then you go onto the favored side on Theme Park, again your map, and you surrender the first 2 rounds. That's when things get really concerning if I'm Astralis. Being able to answer back, being able to get a single round, keep it close, deny G2 series point. That's the position Astralis wants to be in.
Yeah. Fabian as the other coach of G2, I mean, he's gonna know the same thing. I mean, you're gonna be a little bit hesitant calling your timeout as long as you have the lead, because you're gonna give the opponents the same chance to talk to their coach. We always see when Callout he makes his timeout, changes happen on Astralis immediately after, implemented just seconds.
Oki runs into J90, losing the duel. Again, you gotta think, that 3 armor of Malusi, that's gonna come in awfully handy, keep you alive. Another nade goes in, they're being tossed in by G2 so far quite fruitlessly. Now it's Spiff to take matters into his own hands by the arcade window. A trail of Gumines being hit, J90 the first to die, there wasn't much left of him anyway, so a sacrifice to be made as Forest for Astralis gives the advantage in numbers back. Ali Mao runs in, but he also runs into Spiff. Again, this is a brawl, a duel between these teams. G2 trailing yet again. Half of the round to play, Astralis to sit and wait for it. Forest on the Ella, you know he's magical on that operator.
Yeah.
Problem for G2 is you don't have those 2 superstars right now. You're gonna rely on your support players to out-duel those same players on Astralis. Get down to the Throne Armory bomb site, get the diffuser planted. If Blur's focus is objective play, Virtue will need to cover, but he's now lost half of his life. He loses the rest of it to Spiff. 2 kills on the round, looking mighty fine. Blur secures what little was left, and now needs to hastily reposition. This will be going for kills on G2's side. How can you get that diffuser planted when you've got 2 players still staring in your direction? Selmas go out, jammed. What is Blur to do here? Drops to split after being stunned. Activates the Banshee, getting through the door. This is always a harrowing endeavor. Look at that.
Stacked.
They are stacked up, and Blur will force them out. 1 through split, maybe. He thinks they're over by Dragon. They're just gonna play keep away. Blur chasing away at their heels. He might be able to get the boat, but Shuttle says no thank you. We're gonna need all 12 rounds again.
Astralis playing some of the most absurd 1 versus 2s in terms of positioning. I think they feel inspired from other FPS titles, because in Rainbow Six Siege you never stack in a 1v2. It's always about the crossfires, but it works so well for them time and time again. And yes, we will need to go the distance. G2, while these replays are occurring on your screen, have called for a tactical timeout now that things are tied up 5-5. Fabian wants to secure this 2-0, maintain some energy for later. They have 1 more match. Either of the 2 teams who wins tonight gotta go up against OXG, waiting for them in that 2nd match. Call out most likely gonna praise his team, saying, you know what, boys, you didn't even need me. You figured this out on your own. But anyway, here are 2 things you can do better.
Based off of what we've seen of the timeouts so far. Back in map number 1 on Chalet. Timeout called. Team that calls the timeout good enough for the next 2 rounds in their win column. Here on Theme Park, after Astralis called their timeout, they won 3 in a row. One of these teams will move to map point. One of them will move to series point.
Yeah.
The Astralis run perilously close to ending.
Also so close to giving us a 3rd map at the same time.
Give me Villa or give me death. It's very simple.
That is a simple way to put it.
Me plus Villa equals life. Me minus Villa equals death. It's a simple equation, really.
Adaptations we have to look out for now. In terms of operator lineup, Iconic on the Warden. We haven't seen that much Warden play so far. Virtue on the Lion. The only real 2 operator changes so far in this matchup. It's the details that are going to change. I think both teams' philosophy in terms of macro, the overall gameplay is going to stay somewhat the same. But it's those small ways that G2 can try and win out on those opening engagements, because as Astralis and Defense always find themselves with 1 member more alive on their side than that of G2. And then it boils down to a 2 versus 1 in their favor, and that's how these rounds have been proceeding. It's been very close, 2 rounds in a row. Maybe Virtue on the Line can make a difference. Play more loose with that global gadget.
You know what I'd love from the desk at some point? I know you can hear me, and now you're looking at me. How many rounds possible could Astralis have played, and how many rounds have they played at this event?
Oh.
That's what I want to know.
The yellow pin. Oh, he says no. There we go. Is that the crowd buff?
That's the crowd buff indeed. A tiny bit of damage to Forest. Timed well with the EE1D of the Lion. Zami of Forest able to get away. Spectacular on Ella, but a new operator is in his hands.
That's spectacular use of the crowd, I'll have to say.
The crowd buff is real. Each side of this arena dedicated to the team that is closest to them. G2 can hear them, clear as day. They're sitting right next to them. There's the other grenade, it connects. The first one had Forrest's name on it, the second dedicated to Iconic. G2 now pressing up the stairs, they run into Forrest. Astralis trail by 2, G2's entry, very good to this point. Benja goes down, now it's Doki's turn to take some damage, but G2 have reduced Astralis to just Shuttle. In a 1v3, oh, that bullet just whizzes past his face. Shuttle's lost. G2 on series point.
No information for Charlotte. He can't make the right decision when it matters the most. Has to flick between two different angles. It's too much. Overwhelmed by 3 members of G2. They go on match and series point. The yellow pink grenades again. The information that allows Benja this success, always there for G2.
Reminiscent of when Space Station were in the same spot here in Laval. The Astralis cheering section lighting up their phones, projecting the stars.
You know, it's now that, it boils down to this round. Astralis, they need overtime or they'll have to leave the arena as players and join the crowd tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be sitting here for the rest of the day.
10 seconds to go.
I hear the chance for overtime. Believe you me, I want it too. I want as many rounds between these two teams as is humanly possible.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Now Astralis, they changed up their approach. They've tried this aggression, but now it got punished. Now they're playing more passive, right? The Goyo canisters, the Ela Grismot mines. These are going to stop G2 on the entry, but also these rounds are actually coming down to the last 40 seconds for the first time in this series. If we get to 40 seconds now for Astralis, they have tools to stall out those last remaining pieces of action. They're gonna try and bleed G2 out slowly. And G2's gotta be quick to the punch. They don't recognize this just yet. They're taking their time, droning out the entirety of the map. There's a clear line in the middle. There's one part that Astralis cares about, and there's one part they've surrendered. That part, well, G2's starting to take it, but the first minute is burned down the clock. They have to start acting on the actual roam clear in front of them. Spiff is upstairs. He's there with support of Shuttle. They're the first front lines for Astralis that G2 has to deal with.
It's a rough spot for Shuttle to be in. They're gonna chip away at his HP with these nades. Next one hits the Kiba barrier. That's a magic trick, and he's got a couple up his sleeve. Doki taking damage at the same time as well. Alimau goes down. Astralis looking for 4 more kills to propel us to overtime. But G2 have just been magnificent, even when they trail. Benjamaster exchanging most of his HP for a kill on the Spiff. I'll take that trade. I'll take that trade every day.
So close, but Forrest gets out live.
Now it's Iconic's turn to go into the ground. More weight on the shoulders of Astralis. G2 reducing these numbers. They can feel the match against OXG. They can taste it. And Forrest will need to clutch in a 1v4. What a run it's been for Astralis. But the G2 streak is just too strong. G2 will dim the scars in the sky.
16-0 for Fabian against North America throughout his entire career of 7 years. And they got one more team from that same region later today in OXG.
A lot of people thought Astralis wouldn't be able to make it this far, and then every single time they proved people wrong, the thought was, well, they're just living on borrowed time. Eventually, time runs out. G2 continue this run through the lower bracket as well. They're looking for yet another hammer.
I mean, Astralis, they played almost as many maps and as many rounds as humanly possible. Fatigue has to set in. The amount of thoughts you can study as their opponent, they've had to give so much weight because of that lower bracket run, and they had the plot armor for so long, beating so many formidable teams in this tournament. They can be very proud and happy with the result that they got here.
I'm gonna ask you for a little bit of crowd interaction. Can we get a nice standing ovation for Astralis on this miracle run, whether you were cheering for them or not? One hell of a performance and a Cinderella run at the Six Invitational that will be remembered for a long time to come. G2 might have won the match. They'll be playing against OXG later today, but Astralis won a lot of hearts along the way.
Yeah. Nobody expected this. I mean, we all make our predictions for fun before the tournament, and I don't think anybody realistically had Astralis making the run that they did.
I didn't.
Looking as good. I didn't either. Massive surprise.
They weren't flashy. We said it many, many times. They were consistent. It was routine. But G2 are a force to be reckoned with. Whether he's behind a computer, whether he's behind the team, Fabian's magic here in this venue, in this city, it's really just something else.
That's the magic of the Six Invitationals, the hammer, the biggest trophy in the biggest arena of the year. Fabian's aiming for that third hammer as the only person in the world.
Yesterday, W7M getting a berth in the grand final secured Julio the distinction of being just the second player to compete on the main stage 3 times. Will Fabian join? We'll find out after the next matchup, but before we get there, you want to hear from the winners, and you want to hear from Ian on the stage.
Parker, thank you very much. Now, before we shine a spotlight on, of course, the incredible G2, I want to give it up to Astralis and all of the Astralis fans who've been loud as hell throughout that series. Commiserations, what a run they went on. But they weren't quite good enough to stop G2. And I am now joined by the one and only Doki. I mean, look, I've been wanting to get to a position where you're on a stage like this, doing a winner's interview and in front of a crowd like this. You're getting very close to this.
I'm getting close, but we're not there yet, so gotta keep playing.
What is it about G2 that has clicked? I spoke to Benja about this yesterday. Is it him? Is it Fabian, who's looking to lift his third, but this time as a coach? What is it?
You know, everyone can say it's Benja or Fabian. Like, Fabian's had a massive input. Benja's like one of the best players I've ever seen in my life. But also, actually, I have no idea how we're here, to be honest. I really have no idea, because we were playing bad in the group phase. Well, we didn't play bad, but we were playing pretty poor. And then we've just built up momentum game after game after game, and I'm feeling so confident right now. So, and thank you to all the fans. Like, the support is unbelievable. So, yeah.
Anybody think that G2 can go all the way and lift the hammer at the end of it all? I think that I've figured out what it is that's changed for G2. It's ever since you dyed your hair blonde, bro.
White hair. It's the white hair. And also Nico from the CSGO team, white hair.
That's it.
He's winning everything. It's the white hair. Dye your hair, guys.
Should we all dye our hair at the end of this? Maybe. Look, this lower bracket run that you are on, when you have to go on a lower bracket gauntlet run such as this, one thing that you have to have in high volumes is stamina. And that is going to be, proven again in your next lower bracket setup against Oxygen. Do you feel like you can dig deep and continue this?
I mean, I think the team that plays first always has the advantage because they've already played, they've warmed up. So, absolutely, yeah. And I think also, which is good for us, like Oxygen are also in any team, and we quite like playing against the any teams. So, I don't think the preparation is going to be that much different. Like, Astralis are very aggressive, and they played absolutely unbelievable today. And we managed to dial in and kind of, put this point on it. So, the same prep is probably going to do us a good. So, but you never know what happens. Best of 3 and all that. So, look forward to it.
I just wanted to ask you personally as well, just before we start to wrap this up, like, what sort of a difference and an impact does Fabian's championship winning experience have on you personally?
I mean, he keeps telling me he's going to take my spot if I don't play good. That's a bit of motivation. But no, it definitely has a lot. Like, he's a great player, well, was a great player, not anymore. And now he's a great coach, so he's good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Doki and G2. And good luck against Oxygen, all right? And commiserations once again to Astralis. I absolutely love that roster. But G2 continue plowing forward in this lower bracket, and to pick that one to pieces, it's now over to the wonderful Jackie on the desk.
Aw, Ian, great interview as always. Fabian threatening Doki's spot. On brand, am I wrong?
No, certainly not off-brand for Fabian, but for G2, what a moment that they have just found for themselves.
You predicted it.
I did predict it. I think, realistically, Lightning struck 4 times.
Yeah.
It didn't just strike twice for Astralis. It struck so many times. It was eventually going to come to an end, and I think they met their maker today.
Yeah, unfortunately. But let's hear it for the Astralis fans. They had their phones out. You predicted them, didn't quite work out though.
I don't know if I'm the curse, but there's one thing for sure is that Astralis had so much additional energy in this stadium from all of the people standing up and cheering them on. Astralis have so much to be proud for during this run.
Certainly, but let's talk about this map. Fresh, the op bans. This had a huge impact.
Yeah, I actually think G2 maybe took a bad choice with the operator ban that they went for. They went for the Amaru ban, which is a combination of it being used against G2 and also the fact that Astralis have used this in the past. They like to repel into those break room windows, specifically on theme park. However, the Amaru left the Nook open. Because you banned the Amaru, the Nook was open. And I've got to say, I thought Iconic was really, really excellent today on the Nook. He kept finding those crevices that he was finding his way into, exploiting the gaps and opening up the round for Astralis. Realistically, on theme park, they got themselves a 3-3 split, with Iconic finding most of those gaps for them. So the way that then played out is G2 then had their backs up against the wall because a 3-3 on theme park, that's never the best.
And yet, moving into the second half, G2 started with 2 attacks in a row, some of which were incredibly dominant. The first one, Doki had a 4K. He took advantage of the fact that after a pick or two, there was nobody on site, completely flooded it. And here's what's more, you talked about that knockban or lack thereof. And for G2, you've got Benjamaster, who is by far and away the MVP of this game, and he was a star on that knock.
He really.
Oh, sorry, go.
He really is a star player. You know, Doki said about it. I spoke to Doki in like day 1 of groups, and I walked up to him, and he's like, Benjamaster's cheating. He's so good. Like, how is he just getting these kills all of the time? And I think, you know, you just said it to me just before I went live, James. Benja's never played a main stage. He's played 2 LAN tournaments and never made the main stage. He's now hitting the main stage and excelling.
Benjamaster had 30 kills in 27 rounds in that match. As you said, first time he's ever even stood on an international stage. He's just 19 years old, and he is the youngest player left at the tournament. And he has absolutely no fear of getting into the server and tearing it up, because he is one of the highest opening kill players at the event, and it's unstoppable.
He's actually an example for a lot of young players, and I'll tell the story. I've told this story once about Benjamaster, but I've known Benjamaster since he was about 16, you know, 4 or 5 years now. He messaged me when he was an underage player, and he said, what do I need to do to go pro? And I said, Benji, you're already tearing up the rank scene. Everybody in Europe knows who you are. Your aim is incredible. But work on things like your team play, your positioning, making plays off people, your communication, all of these soft skills around what a player needs. He went away and he just worked on them religiously, stuck his head down, worked on them. You know, he was playing in some underage teams, whatever he could, basically. And then he came in as soon as he was 18 into EUL. And to be honest, he set it alight.
Yeah, Benja undoubtedly a standout. This was such a great series. It truly was the battle of the Grim Reapers. G2 obviously victorious, but Dev, both of these teams fighting tooth and nail, incredible trades.
Yeah, that's it. The way that this map played out was just fighting for map control. And the thing about theme park, you can, as a defense, set up these really extended power positions. We've talked about operator bans. Guess what? One of the holy trinity of defenders was left in the Azami. We saw Doki right near the start of the game holding onto that cash side control with the Azami, but it was a double-sided sword as well, because sometimes he finds one pick, but eventually Astralis can recompose, trade back. And so what we ended up seeing was a lot of rounds that ended up in 2v1s. Even, you know, the final round, there was a lot of time left on the clock in that 1vx, and it goes to show that it really matters about stepping up in these tight scenarios, being able to adjust your plan. In the past, we've had a brand of Rainbow Six where you can have an execute in mind, and all the round is about setting up for that execute. But when there's so much going on in the mid-round, that all of these late rounds have to be clutches, you have to throw all that out of the window.
And I think the operator choices on the back of that made so much sense. We saw G2 yesterday playing a lot of traps, playing a lot of Goyo, for when they played up against Wolves, playing a lot of execute, anti-plant denial. Today it was very much about being in the faces, making sure that you don't let them take the ground that they wanted to take. And that's why, you know, like you said, we were seeing a 2v2 scenario on Armory Throne where nobody was near site. And the site was almost irrelevant. The map was almost irrelevant. This was just 5 players on each side that just wanted to go to war with.
It's like TDM.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, our MVP is in. You've been talking a lot about him. Benja.
Yeah.
I mean, any surprise here, Fresh?
I mean, only that it's not Doki, to be honest. I think both of them will have been very, very close in EPS. But yeah, that's absolutely incredible. You know, he was having a lot of fun. And he plays off the back of the space that Doki creates as the primary entry as well. He's a very smart, very intelligent player. And he pops up sometimes, and I think even in that theme park game just then, he wasn't getting these big flashy multi-kills, but he was just popping up with a couple here and there. It was predominantly Chalet where he was finding a lot of his success.
And
Yeah,
oh, sorry, yeah.
I was just going to say, for me, it's really these openings. He is just so good at finding these openings for the team and giving them a leg in, a way to get into that round.
Well, Dev, we were chatting in the green room earlier. G2 just taking those clutches, the 1v1s, the 2v2s. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, the consistent thing we talk about for Astralis is their ability, when in a pinch, to continue fighting for these clutches. But the thing is, G2 can fight fire with fire. They are an exceptional clutch team, the second best in the tournament, and there's a chance that they could overtake Astralis as they have now overtaken them in the bracket as well.
And it might not necessarily always go down as a clutch, but the thing that G2 have done is their situation management, their late round situation management, time and time again. And you know, I've also watched these boys all year long in EUL, where they would get to a 3v3 and it would look so desynchronized and they would get picked off one by one. In these 3v3s, 2v2s, whatever it may be, they're able to still, in the round, come up with a plan and execute the plan together. Of course, it doesn't always work, but they are winning more rounds than not when they're getting down to that kind of late round. A plan needs to be formulated and a plan needs to be executed, and they're doing it. And it's very impressive to see from the G2 that we saw just 3 months ago that couldn't do that.
Yeah, and Rainbow Six really is about fundamentals. That's the name of the game. People love to talk about crazy strategies, but at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan and you have to just go for it, it's something that G2 absolutely relish. And that's what we've seen in such a rounded roster. Benja in particular, like, he's got 5th best kills overall in the entire tournament so far. And he is absolutely nuts in those clutch scenarios as well.
Okay, Fabian's NA record. Still rolling here.
Yep.
Lifting the 3rd hammer.
It's on the cards.
Someone scream no. Be nice over there.
It's on the cards. I mean, already taking down one NA team this morning. Like, what's another?
I mean, the one thing is like Fabian's record is actually going to get tested because he does have an unreal record against North America, and it has continued, and that is, you know, kudos to him. But they're going from Astralis to Oxygen, who are 2 very different teams to prepare for. G2 need to snap out of the Astralis mentality because they were fighting fire with fire today. They were being very explosive, and they need to get into a much more balanced approach.
And here's a bit of a tease for the upcoming game as well. Yeah, G2 have been playing some fantastic players on Astralis who are crazy in the clutch, but they're about to go up against the best player in the tournament in Newers, and that's a completely different kettle of fish.
Oof. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I do want to talk about Astralis a little bit. They started off slow, too little, too late. Thoughts on that?
It's kind of difficult because, like I say, there's only so many times that your team as a whole can go negative and you win a game.
True.
And that is, you know, I think Parker referenced it. They were living on borrowed time. He actually asked for a statistic during the cast of how many rounds that they actually played versus their maximum potential rounds. They played 296 rounds up until this point. The maximum they could have played across this tournament is 345 rounds. So you're talking 86% of rounds that were available they played, which means they were super competitive with almost everybody, and they kept finding that way to win. I think at the end, it was, you know, I said it was always going to catch up with them at some point, but that run they went on was nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, and even in that final game, the fact that they managed 3 attacks on Theme Park, the fact that 2 of those came down to 1v1s and one of them was a 2v1 is nothing short of extraordinary. And look, I didn't go to Charlotte. I didn't see Astralis play in that grand final. I haven't seen as much of them before, and that's why I was a doubter coming into this tournament. And when I was wrong about the game against BDS, I completely flipped the switch, and this result against G2 has changed absolutely nothing for me about Astralis. I have no doubt that they are one of the best teams in the world, and they will be contending for trophies this year.
Oh, I love the dedication from the Astralis fans. Iconic, undoubtedly their fearless leader in this series.
Yeah, he is. He really is an enigma, and he really is a main stage player as well. You know, obviously Astralis as a whole across the year, you look at the high of Charlotte and the relative lows that they experienced through stage 2, stage 3, and then even into this event. Obviously, they did enough to qualify to this event on points. But then as soon as they're at the event and at the LAN, that's where, for me, Iconic really shines. The amount of times I do call him an enigma, and the fact that we speak to him and he's exactly the same, You see him in the huddles, you see him just making the plays. He must give, when you're on the team and you're the other players on the team, he must give them so much confidence because he's got that much confidence in himself.
And for me, Astralis, I think about their run in Berlin, which was the first time I personally saw them play live, and it is like a black mark on their record for that team. Astralis were astonishingly good in Stage 1, and Stage 2, they really got taken down a notch. And Stage 3 was a real formation period, and post-Stage 3, we're looking at an Astralis that's got Spiff, that's rejuvenated their roster, that Iconic is leading to victory.
It's an exciting time to be an Astralis fan, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Ups and downs, new-ish roster. Going into 2023, I would be very excited if I supported this team.
Oh, okay, well, let's look ahead. Let's look at the bracket. Already been a wild day, and you know what? I'll put you in the hot seat this time, Dev. What you thinking?
I'm thinking that we've got another G2 versus NA game coming right up, and it is Oxygen. This time, for me, the great story, Foxay, playing his 5th consecutive Six Invitational on home turf. Foxay is from Montreal right here, and he will be fighting with the home crowd on his side. Once again, G2 will have it against them.
I hope these Astralis fans embrace OXG.
Oh, you've got
now
to.
That Astralis are at the tournament, keep that NA crowd behind OXG. And I think there's good storylines either way. Obviously, we're going to have a North American team in the final going up against W7M, or we're going to have G2, the first time in 4 years this organization can, go back to potentially lift the hammer. The storylines there just write themselves.
All right, well, fantastic analyst desk as always with both of you. But for all of you watching at home, do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick little break and also want to preview the Year 8 Season 1 reveal panel. Super excited about that. We'll be back in a flash.